keep saying
No,
that?
because I just don't know. I don't know.
Do you have something you need to
We
tell
keep
them?
suggesting
No,
things.
I don't. I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything.
He's just asked us like, I feel like we're. Hi.
Hi.
We apparently got secrets.
We have
here on the
secrets.
Wednesday Club.
Are we on?
We are on.
That's what the countdown was.
I'll also add your raccoon is backwards currently.
Yeah, but I'm not left-handed.
I know, but you were like, I know, it's just.
I mean, I guess I could drink it this way and burn my hand.
I know for a
Worth
fact
it,
that our
worth
coffee
it.
is not that hot.
Aesthetic.
Now I was pretending.
Style over substance.
Yeah.
Acting.
Acting.
Genius.
I went to school for seminary.
Yeah, how does that help you pretend things are hot?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. 'Cause I pretend that I'm in an eschatological fire. No.
Okay, that was a good answer, actually. I don't know what to do.
I know. I feel like there was a segue there somewhere. Yeah. Well, speaking of segue, welcome everybody to the
Hi
Wednesday
everybody.
Club.
The Wednesday Club.
We're extremely not
idiots.
loopy, normal people, as always.
I love your shirt.
Thank you.
Like I saw you.
Michael
I've
Cho.
seen you wear that shirt before, and I saw you in it today. And every time you wear it, I'm like, it's a damn good shirt.
I'm gonna be honest. Every time I see it come out of the laundry, I'm like, "That's a damn good shirt."
Like the color, the shading. Like I don't know how to talk about it. It's a solid shirt.
It
Michael
reminds
Cho
me
art's
of the
real
New
good.
Frontier, which
Yeah, it is
which is a
very-
DC book I love dearly.
They've actually hired him to do a lot of the types of cover jobs that they would have gotten Darwin for.
Oh, Darwin.
Oh, darn.
Oh, yes.
Rest in peace. good sir.
But I'm wearing the shirt for a reason, of course.
Because Lady
Standards and
Thor is
practices.
amazing.
And
Not
Lady
Lady
Thor.
Thor.
This is-
Thor.
yes,
Just
Thor.
Thor. Sorry, I apologize.
All the Thors.
All the Thors.
We're going to be talking about a lot of Thors tonight.
Are we? Is it Thors'day?
It's Crisis on.
Infinite Thors?
It's almost Thors'day.
As somebody on Twitter pointed out, for certain people watching this, it is in
Yes.
fact Thursday.
Oh, it is Thors'day for some.
Thursday.
Some of
It's
our
Thursday
listeners.
somewhere.
In parts of Europe.
Gibraltar.
Gibraltar.
It's probably Thors'day.
I think that might not be one of them. Do you
It
think?
might not be. Chat.
think it's-
Chat.
How many
I think
time
it's
zones are
close.
in Europe? Gibraltar would be on the west side, so
Yeah,
I was
I
thinking
think-
somewhere
I-
more easterly.
I think it is. Hey, Selena. Is Gibraltar on? Is it Thursday in Gibraltar?
You know,
right
it
now?
probably is. We're not that far from midnight.
I thought the line was to the west.
The Prime Meridian.
Yeah.
Yeah, that goes through England, and that's east. Or what's,
Could be Thursday. We'll somebody in chat will tell us. I trust
welcome
chat.
to Geography Club.
It's like 8 hours just to England, so I guess it is probably Thursday everywhere in Europe, huh?
And Australia at the very least.
Our show is late.
And
Sorry,
most
guys.
of Asia. Anyway.
Hi everybody, it's
with
the
that in
Thursday
mind-
Club.
What day is it?
4:08 a.m. in Gibraltar.
Oh man, if you're watching us right now, you're dedicated. If
They're
you're in
hardcore.
Gibraltar.
You rock.
Is chat just laughing at us? What's happening?
They are. Chat is genuinely confused
just
about
got
what's
that.
happening right now.
You come on, high five.
I'll give you air high five. There we
It
go.
is Thursday in Australia and New Zealand too. Thanks, chat. It's Thursday in Guam.
Speaking of New Zealand, there's a good segue.
Yeah.
A New Zealander directed the Thor Ragnarok movie, which is fantastic.
Have
We're
we
not
all
going to
seen
talk
it?
about it because we don't want to get
We have all
spoilers.
seen it, I assume,
Can
I've
we
seen
just
it
all make a
twice.
face that?
but we're not going to talk about it. I loved it. We're not going to talk about it.
I liked it even more the second time.
Agreed. Totally agreed. That was my experience with it too. Like I loved it the second time. Like I bet I'm gonna love it even more the third time or the third time. No,
No.
that's fair.
No,
that's fair.
that's-
Am I fired, Liz? Am I fired?
That was pretty bad.
If Liz says it's bad, she's
must
usually
be
our
bad.
biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, she's normally in for a good pun. But no, that yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see myself out. Here's all my notes.
So who's Thor?
Thor Odinson is a creation of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby from 19...
Asterisk. Also, he's a myth guy. We'll get into
Yeah,
it.
he's also a myth guy. Myth dude. Yeah, myth dude. He is the son of Odin, the god of thunder, not the lord of thunder. He's a god of thunder. Wielder of the Uru hammer Mjolnir, which was forged in the heart of a dwarf star.
In or out of?
Out of by dwarves.
By dwarves. Eitri was one of them, and Bodil or something like
Now
Bordil
you're getting deeper than I know.
I think Eitri, and there's the rumor that Peter Dinklage is playing that in on the next movie. That's one of the big rumors is that he's playing that and that Thor will get ultimate Mjolnir from the Ultimate
The
comics.
big
with
spiky
the
one?
Cool spiky one.
The one that's also for removing nails?
Yep.
Yeah, it's got the little.
Except we have concerns about that one now, based on events of current canon.
Yep, probably so.
I mean, but like,
but you know,
Thor
MCU is its
Thor
own
movie,
universe.
for people who only know Thor from the films, I feel like the Thor films veer very far from the comic in a good way. Like, I really, I feel like that if you were to drop into the comic books and only knowing the films, that you would definitely be feeling a little bit of culture clash.
I can see that.
Like, it's not quite as lighthearted. I mean, like, to be
They
fair,
take
the
less
most
advantage of
recent
his goofiness. I mean, he's goofy in all of them, though.
He is goofy. Sometimes he's just goofy by his very nature. Like, I think like the closest I've ever felt to like the comic book Thor was that little short film they make of him staying in somebody's apartment.
Oh my God!
During
Dwayne,
yeah,
I think was his name or something.
yeah, and like
that.
getting like that weirdly was like my experience of Thor was very much the Thor that was like, I don't fit in with this world of mortals, and yet here I am. Huzzah! Like that's very Thor for me is man out of place, the same way Captain America is
he's
man
very
out
much
of
a
time.
fish out of water, but he's a god out of water.
Yeah, but he's comfortable, whereas Steve is a little awkward about it. You know, it's much more that Thor has no problem being like that moment of, I love this, another!
Yeah, in the first movie, yeah. Like, Thor is, like, blissfully ignorant of human culture and is totally, like...
But he travels the realms, so to him, it's just another realm. It's just the one he ends up most fond of and dedicated to.
He's on vacation. And he's like an irritating
American in Europe?
Yeah, like you know, which you know I'm a big fan of being an irritating American in Europe.
Welcome us to your country, Europeans.
There's which book do you know this? They did an origin book a few years ago that was really great of like him just sort of it was like a Thor year one and was him meeting Jane Foster, taking her to like Norway on like his flying and like.
His two rams?
The two rams with the little cart, and like he's just getting drunk. And
Tom and Bombadil, I believe, are the
Gnasher,
names. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember
Tooth
the
Gnasher is one of them, actually.
And
it reminded
who's
me
the
of
other
like,
one?
Yeah.
Tooth Gnasher is the one he always calls out first, which is when you said, I was like, oh yeah, it is
We
Tooth
go with the
Gnasher.
more memorable name. Yes, that's
I think the other one is Tom Bombadil.
Tooth Gnasher and Tom Bombadil.
He just sings the whole time.
Oh man, it took us so long to get to the point of just lying to y'all and hoping you wouldn't check. But it's November and we've reached that point.
Yeah, Tom Bombadil. Why
Yep,
not?
Tooth Gnasher and Tom
Why the
Bombadil.
fuck not?
Change Wikipedia
Why not?
accordingly.
Why not? Yeah. Our history is the correct one.
I tried to find this book on Comixology and failed, but it was like a Thor year one. And it read like A Hard Day's Night. Like it was just like Thor just running around going like.
It sounds delightful.
I really enjoyed it. It felt like Christmas with.
Was it Thor the Mighty Avenger?
The Mighty Avenger?
Might have been
Chris
Thor the
Samnee?
Mighty Adventure. I'd have to look. But
Was it beautiful?
it was beautiful.
Might have been Chris Samnee.
And it made me. It looked like a Christmas card. Like every bloody image was a Christmas card. So yeah, Thor.
So Thor, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, except kind of not.
Except kind of
Based
not.
vaguely on Norse mythology.
Very vaguely on Norse mythology. But I believe that what our incredibly intrepid and amazing friend,
And
Ms. Dallen, is referring
So
to
trepid.
is that there are two other Jack Kirby Thor appearances that predate the Marvel appearance. of
Actually, I was
Thor.
just talking about the myth thing, but I like where you're going. Let's go with that.
Are we going there first, or are we going myth?
Maybe we should start with myth.
Okay.
You want to start with myth?
Only because I was not aware of this, and my brain is still
Prototypes.
processing this. Whoa.
Wait, what'd you say?
I was
Prototypes.
not. I was
That's
not.
it.
I was not aware that Kirby had delved into this twice. Oh man, this is gonna fuck my shit up.
There's the second one where
What?
a cowboy finds it.
What?
Is that the cowboy one? I think. Yeah, that's the.
I have not read this, and it looks amazing.
Oh my god.
I had to do a lot of digging to find this.
What?
Yeah, that's the cowboy one.
So a lot
Thor?
of what we call the Silver Age of comics was just trying stuff. And the years leading up to it were just, throwing things at the wall. There's a reason that Thor, who just celebrated issue 700 of comics, he shouldn't really get that title because they picked the numbering up from the book he first appeared in, which was a book called Journey into Mystery, which could mean basically anything.
Your
Something
journey.
will happen
There's
in this
mystery.
And it was Journey into Mystery 83.
book. 83.
Yep.
So that means 82 other issues
look
of
at that
random
cover.
shenanigans before they were like, what about this?
And it wasn't until issue 126 that Journey into Mystery officially became Thor.
Yeah.
But that was numbered at Thor number 126.
God, that
Yep.
cover is so spectacular.
So Thor 700 is a lie,
A bit.
but
It should
still
be
very cool.
Thor 580,
Something like that.
something like math.
But I don't even know. There was a time where Journey into Mystery and Mighty Thor were running simultaneously during the Loki times. So do they count for double? I don't even know.
I don't know. That's interesting. We're going to get into a little bit more of the modern journey into mystery because that's a fascinating book,
And
I'm a big fan
can't wait
of
to
it.
hear you talk about it.
Oh
'cause
man,
I don't
I'm
know
going to
that
be
one at
like I'm going to be walking around like you know. I'm going to
Just keep demanding that we do a Loki episode.
Oh, there will be a musical number. I know. I'm going to have to like.
You can't take that back.
I know.
That's binding.
It's happening.
Okay.
Thrice has it been said,
binding.
therefore it shall happen.
That's binding.
Looking at every camera in case one of them is the one where you all are with me on this.
A daffodil, a bird. Yeah, no, it's going to be great.
Like every single show, you guys give me one more reason to love you more than
Yeah, no, I'm just going to go full Phantom Tollbooth musical. So,
In Journey into Mystery 83, we meet this nice, mild-mannered doctor,
with a bum leg.
Don Blake.
Dr. Donald Blake,
Dr. Donald Blake.
PI. Wait, no.
He's despite his bad leg that he can't walk all around on, and he limps, has a terrible, terrible limp, and is an exceptionally thin man. He is hiking in Scandinavia like a person with a bad leg just randomly does by themselves all the time.
Sure.
And
Some people probably actually do.
Some probably
Some
yeah,
do.
You're right. You're
This
right.
was the
that
early
guy.
60s, so I'm not sure they were like thinking it through as like a statement. They were probably just doing things.
Yeah,
But
it's just kind of like funny. I was like, oh no, he's out there all by himself. It's all totally fine.
they won't invent cell phones for years, but it's fine.
Yeah. So he's out there and he comes across a walking stick
In a cave.
in a cave, and immediately knows that stick has meaning because it's on kind of like a stone altar of sorts.
Sure.
And he's like, what does this stick mean? And he picks it up, and when he slams it on the ground once, he becomes Mighty Thor.
Yay! Alter ego.
So he starts off as Donald Blake. What I find interesting about that is that later gets retconned just a bit. And I don't think that this was Stan Lee or Jack Kirby or even Larry Lieber's.
No, I think
initial
this was, and
impulse.
this is one of those characters. Like, there's a couple characters in comic books, like Hawkman or Animal Man, where you get into the origin and you're like, oh, this is a bit weird, and we're kind of mess around with it, and you're gonna muck around a little bit. And Thor's been mucked around with a little bit.
A little bit.
And the rules for what is the difference between a god and an alien in the Marvel universe have been mucked around a little bit.
Yeah. So, but
yeah.
It turns out that Thor had been banished by Odin to Earth, and that he had completely forgotten his identity as Thor, and he was Donald Blake. And when Donald Blake found Thor, it was then that journey.
Be punished
back
by your
into-
father by turning
Yeah.
into a
Doctor.
doctor who likes to go on long heights despite a limp.
Yeah.
That is how you will be banished upon the earth.
Yeah, but
And
it
this
was
is
like,
the first of the many Asgardian family lessons we will learn.
There's a lot.
There are
of
so
those.
many.
So
They're like the Bluths from Arrested Development. It's just like
They kind
just like,
of are.
There is kind of like there's just like the one-armed guy they keep hiring, and then that's why you treat human beings with respect, even if you're a deity. Like over and over again.
Well, and
Bad
then there's
parenting.
a bit of a retcon too, where like it turns out Odin wanted Thor to have humanity the entire time because it helps him win Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
we got that in Thor Disassembled, and
Yeah, I've got a whole thing.
Early
I mean, like
2000s
they
or
wouldn't have
whatever.
won Ragnarok without Loki. Loki was like the linchpin for Ragnarok. Just saying.
Yeah, well,
Just saying.
and like by the way, how many Ragnaroks did they have in Marvel? Like, there's been like 5.
Yeah, there's been like 5. It's 5 solid
Comics
Ragnaroks.
has this problem where if they like a thing, they do it again.
Yeah, and they I didn't realize that they mentioned Ragnarok. Like
Ragnarok.
as of like Journey into Mystery 100.
Oh yeah.
So what's Ragnarok?
Ragnarok. Take a rock.
so good.
Ragnarok. Bad joke. Thank you for laughing.
I like
Liz.
dieharding Ragnarok. I like it's a word that diehards well.
Yeah.
Live free or Ragnarok. A good day to Ragnarok.
Ragnarok and roll, as Walt
A
Simonson put it.
fistful of
A
Ragnarok?
fistful of Ragnarok.
yeah.
That's pretty solid.
Pretty good. Yeah. Ragnarok
Shaolin
is the
Ragnarok.
death of the Asgardian gods. So Asgard, we should back up. If you
What's Asgard?
What's Asgard? Wow,
What's
there's a lot.
Asgard? If you have no familiarity with Thor, Asgard is the High Realm, the Golden Realm, the Eternal Realm. Final issue, Thor Disassembled. I really enjoyed that book.
So
lot.
it's
I didn't read that
actually
one.
I'm like
It's really good. It's really fun.
before Yeah, before we even go
Yeah.
to this, I'll say one of the interesting things about this character and something that they did that has not, it's been done a little bit, and usually with the Greeks or Romans, and apparently with the Norse gods now here, is mining a mythology for comic book heroes, because mythology and traditional mythology and European mythology and comic book superheroes have an awful lot in common. And for those who don't quite understand what mythology is, it's basically usually a polytheist belief that hasn't franchised properly. So, most
How long have you
people
been sitting on that line?
man, I mean, like
That's a good line.
Thank you. So, and like, I've met a few people who are actual like Scandinavian, who are like still worshippers, and they're like, they think this. The ones I've met have thought this is adorable and think it's just great.
People seem pretty chill about the fact that, like, technically religious figures just got imported wholesale into superheroes because they happen to have inspired the concept of superheroes.
It's a bit weird, but it like, and I will say the Norse religion of like Odin worship and Thor and their whole pantheon is weirdly well suited for this.
Yeah.
Like, it's got a real, I mean, you delve into it and it's got a real heavy metal superhero vibe to the whole thing.
Well, and there's, I think what you were maybe leading to there is that the Greek and Roman pantheons and Norse mythology both share and inspired a lot of the qualities in superhero storytelling. They're basically like, what if there was a guy who was really strong and then he had to fight through a bunch of trolls to save a village? Like, how is that not the beginning of...
There was a guy who had to wrestle a lion, then wore it like a cape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had to do all these challenges in order to earn a prize, and like that's basically superhero storytelling. So.
And when there were cultures that were really into storytelling, the Greek and Roman theaters were filled with tales of gods and mortals intervening, and it led to a very soap operatic culture where it was fun to tell these kind of very ridiculous stories about your gods and treat them as almost television personalities. Like there's a real sense, especially if you go into the dramas of the great Greek comedies and tragedies, of the idea of like previously on Needful Thing, previously on Stranger Things, the Zeus and Hera do that, and like they really liked
you
the
better
drama
have seen
of it.
the other two parts of like the Sophocles trilogy, so that you can
like-
really appreciate the third one.
Yeah, otherwise you can't come to lunch because that's all we're going to be talking about. Like it was, I mean, like, it was the Netflix of the ancient world. It was really like, it was dramatic and filled with story. It was less about a canonical tome.
Well, and
They were really sophisticated fan fiction.
Yes. Oh my God.
And like I think that it was also like very culturally important to have those kinds of plays, because there were elements of them being morality plays. There were elements of, this is how creation happened. This is how humanity was formed. Like this informs
sometimes it was
so many aspects of just society and humanity.
Sure. And sometimes they were just sex comedies. Like sometimes it was just legitimately.
Sometimes it was just
We're just gonna like talk about.
This is down as a deep political commentary.
Yeah, but there was also a sexual comedy aspect to it, right?
Yes.
Well, absolutely.
I just thought it was a weird example.
But he said sex comedy, and I remembered that from
that was
Fair enough.
classes.
That was
Thank you.
I'm definitely three points to Gryffindor.
Oh, yes. I mean, I'm Ravenclaw. I don't know why you gave him to Gryffindor, but...
Are you Ravenclaw?
Stolen.
I am so I'm Ravenclaw through and through. Huh. I've taken the test online 3 times, 3 different ways, 3 different sites, and every single time I'm Ravenclaw. Huh. What, are you judging me now?
No, I'm not. I'm reevaluating my whole reality. That's
Wait,
all.
where
It's
do you
just like,
sit?
I'm Slytherin. I mean, there's
Of
just
course.
no.
There's no...
Yeah.
I am.
And you're Ravenclaw, right?
I always test Gryffindor.
No, Gryffindor.
It's
Okay.
not like
That's fair,
it's
that's
not
fair. I can see that.
it's sort of frowned on now, where like most interesting or discerning nerds pick one of the other houses because Gryffindor showed the obvious choice, but like I never got over it, and I always test back into it.
You are sadly like there's just no. You are team leader. It's really.
Yeah, you're a team leader. You're brave and courageous. You charge forward. I can see it.
Yeah,
and I
you're
mean
What
all
are
of
your
that as a
schemes,
compliment.
both of you?
Yeah, no.
That's our show, everybody. Thanks for joining the Wednesday Club. 20 minutes in, we're done.
So I lead all this in to say that they borrow a lot from like any time that they needed like something to fight, you could literally just go into the annals of Norse mythology and be like, Ragnarok, what's this thing? And they
And they did
literally
this fairly
had,
quickly after they introduced Thor in the comics. They
very
start
quickly.
doing backup stories called Tales of Asgard, where
Yeah.
they go mining the rest of it to be like, ooh, and this is his uncle, and this is his brother, and this is a thing that happened when they were kids.
and then they let them meet space aliens, and then they let them get so weird, and they've just sort of built this amazing cosmology out of it. And I will say my favorite iteration and a great starting point, in my opinion, although I'm going to be very curious to see what you think about this, is the Straczynski run of Thor.
Yeah.
which is the most woo-woo of all of them. I think it's a pretty woo-woo run.
Well, how do you mean woo-woo?
There was a lot of...
Thank you, Amy. That was my face.
Do you not know,
We're
know the phrase
intrigued,
woo-woo?
but I've heard it, but I don't know what it means.
Woo-woo usually means like any time that like you're talking about like if anything ethereal, anything that's like not based off laws, like if you want to just like if you want like a tarot reading, that's a woo-woo thing to do to like get your head together. Like, why don't you just go like talk to somebody, or no, I'm going to get a tarot reading. It's going to brighten me up. I'm like, it's a little woo-woo, but I'm down. Like, and everyone needs a little woo-woo. I love a little.
Is this an accepted terminology
Yes,
that
absolutely.
we're not aware of, or is this what you call it?
No, this is accepted terminology. I like it exists. I literally just heard Russell Brand use it like 3 days ago.
The set constituted by you and Russell Brand suggests a whole, like, very
also,
small demographic, but a really interesting one.
Well, some of my more scientifically inclined friends use it occasionally to explain like why they read their horoscope. And like, I'm aware it's woo-woo, but I'm at a 15% woo-woo level, and that's like you don't want to go 80, but like and you don't want to go like you don't want to be at like 80%.
So you want to dabble in the woo-woo, but you don't want to go full woo-woo.
Everyone needs a little whimsy. You need a little whimsy in your life. You need to trust the universe to do something stupid. It's great.
All right. So
Spoken
with
like
that,
Loki. Go on.
Thank you.
JMS's.
So he definitely brings
So place us in time. We're in the mid 2000s.
mid 2000s, and it's beautiful art. And
I think it's 2007.
and he definitely he definitely makes some interesting calls. Whereas like they had been leaning very hard into like the space god notion of like these are just super aliens who have like they're aliens who are just even more cool and super alien than everybody else, and all that Asgardians really are just super hardcore aliens. And he starts allowing them to be a little more magical and have some more like they start reincarnating into different bodies, and like they're bringing all the Asgardians had died and they're going to bring the whole thing back, and they just start sort of appearing in people because people need these gods to exist.
Right.
So that's what I mean by woo-woo. It's very much like, and there's
Well,
a
letting
thing
the
that-
actual sort of spiritual dimensions of it come into play rather than sort
that's a
of
good
trying
way
to
to put
make
it,
it science fictional exclusively.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
that's a
they've
great way to put it.
they've done both flavors. I mean, we've had Thor comics since, what did you say, 1962?
I think it's 62 or 63, and I mean they started going like full on weird space almost from the very beginning, but like we're the gods of Asgard, but also we're in outer space and we fly spaceships.
What
like,
you may have noticed, folks who've been paying attention to the show for a while, is that whenever we're talking about Jack Kirby, for Kirby, a kind of tremendous cosmic imagination, there wasn't really a huge difference between the concepts of gods and the concepts of space stuff.
Oh, no,
he would not find one precluding the other.
Yeah.
They were both big, crazy, impossible visions. It's like a hopeful version of Lovecraft, where instead of things you can't understand that like hurt
wow,
your
you
brain,
just broke my
he's
fucking
like,
brain.
it's a kind of wonder that you can't process, but won't that be cool?
God, Jack Kirby is the anti-Lovecraft. Oh.
like
Maybe.
he's the hopeful answer to Lovecraft.
Yeah, it's the realm of like light and beauty
murdered
beyond
us.
all things that you can possibly understand. I'm so
It's like
fucking into
if
this.
Lovecraft is Dr. Caligari, then he's the Wizard of Oz.
Oh man, it's so. I mean, that's like, and like this is so much a Thor is so much a proto Fourth World where he's like starting to crystallize these ideas.
Yeah,
of like,
very much.
and Fourth World we will get into someday.
That's a whole other
That's a
episode.
complicated.
That's a whole
story.
other episode.
That's like a whole 4 episodes.
Hashtag whole other episode.
We'll do that for the month of May next year.
But because of this sort of like the gods start appearing on Earth, and like start manifesting in bodies.
And this is in the
This is
Straczynski
writer
run.
J. Michael
Straczynski run.
Straczynski, mostly with Olivier Coipel, or is that just the end of his run?
I think it was
I can hit a button and find
started
out.
with Coipel. And
Yeah,
I
it
wanna,
started with Oliver.
I think that this.
I don't know how to say his name. I'm so sorry.
Olivier. Yeah. I
It
don't
looks
know
like
either.
Coipel, but I think he's
It's
French, and
fascinating.
I'm probably saying it wrong.
Coipel?
But they
Did I
bring
just
Asgard
insult,
back
like,
in
half of our
the
audience?
middle
No
of
way.
like a field in the United States, like out in
it's
some
Broxton, Oklahoma.
Broxton, Oklahoma, and it's amazing. And they just bring Asgard back in the middle of the United, and that creates all sorts of tension and issues. But it's Asgardians now have a city on Earth, and they're like right there. And then the Loki takes over Sif, and then we have
a
girl
weird
Loki
time.
for a while. That's crazy and cool. And we slowly it's all about these we start treating them like gods, and I really like this book as a good jumping on point. You don't need to know anything hopping in. This can just be like Asgardian gods appearing in the world, and whoa, what's that about?
Thor has a lot of good starting points.
So many.
And the starting points, by the way, I think are when the writers start. Like, I don't think that there's a starting point that is the middle of a writer or artist's run.
Because
Because my vote is like I love the Simonson run, like the mid '80s Simonson run.
So you have the image up
Is
there of the
beautiful.
announcement of the arrival of Walt Simonson, whose name would be more as strongly, like maybe even more than Jack Kirby, most strongly associated with Thor is writer artist Walter Simonson, huge part of comic book history. Who took over Thor with the following cover. I want to drum roll this just because, did you put it in there? Because it might also be up there.
I may have, I don't know. I think I did, but.
So imagine you're rolling along and you're reading your Thor comics, and then one day you see this cover. You went past it.
Boom. Okay.
This is one of the all-time great comic book covers, which is why I'm so excited. Sorry.
I don't know if this will show up.
That I did put in there. Yeah, that I did.
This is possible. If this
Sorry.
is not possible
I
right
didn't
now.
remember
Oh,
that.
never mind. There it
Yes!
is. I don't even have to do that.
He is smashing all of your expectations, literally, because he is smashing the logo of your comic. Look at that. The subtext is text. It's great.
I love
so
that the
good.
comic code stamp and all the data stamp have fallen off.
Yeah, they're falling off.
Because like
And
little
Thor's crumbling
Thor's
to pieces.
crumbling and like the whole thing.
And some weird guy's got the lightning and he's got the hammer and he's
got
coming
like a
at you.
horse skull face. Like what?
Horse-faced alien, and he's got Mjolnir, and how is he worthy of Mjolnir?
He kind of looks like Thor, but he doesn't.
It's nuts. It's
So yeah, like we're gonna get into Beta Ray Bill later.
Ray.
Like I'm like channeling Jeff Goldblum. We'll get
to Beta Ray Bill in a
Beta
little
Ray Bill later.
Later.
Yeah, like Walt Simonson's run, like that Ragnarok storyline is my favorite Ragnarok storyline. Even with the disassembled Thor disassembled, and all the like Kirby Stan Lee stuff that they did. What?
There's just the questions piling up, but yeah, no, carry on. We'll get there, guys.
Are we
Paying
are we,
attention?
like,
We still
being
haven't told
really
them what Ragnarok
confusing?
is.
No.
Yeah, you're right. Ragnarok is the death of the Asgardian gods. It's like all the Asgardian gods
They
are
go
dead
to war and they die.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be immortal. Like Ragnarok is essentially the only thing that can guarantee.
It's the end of the world in theory.
Yeah, it's absolutely the end of Asgard, but it's also in some traditions the end of just all creation. You know.
And it's sort of, my vague impression has always been that it comes out of the idea that, like, it's not weird that if things have a beginning, they might have an ending.
Yeah,
what does that
exactly.
ending look like? It looks like this. And the prophecy says that someday that'll happen,
Yeah.
but, like, way in the future, don't worry about it.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things, and this is a bit of a spoiler for Disassembled, but one of my favorite things about that comic is the notion of they've all been there before. And, like, that to me was just like, oh, whoa. Because, like, in my mind, whether they meant it this way or not, I immediately went back to, okay, well, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby had their Ragnarok, Walt Simonson had his. Like, Kirby and Lee had, like, 2 or 3, like, brushes with Ragnarok. And it's like, well, are they kind of doing, like, a version of retconning where they're like, yeah, all of those happened. And it just keeps happening over and over and over because that's this sort of divine cycle of
I like
life and death and rebirth.
I like the notion that Ragnarok is not like a prophecy, but Ragnarok is just this thing that the notion of why we have these gods is because there's constantly going to be things that are trying to end the universe.
Yeah.
And you have gods to keep the universe from ending.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to go out there and keep holding back the powers that would destroy life in the universe. So Ragnarok is not a noun, it's a verb. It's a thing that just happens to you.
Yeah.
That's more my vibe. I love that. I don't know, I'm easy, but
Yeah, and like, I mean, like, but going hand in, I think it goes hand in hand with, what do I know? I'm not a philosopher, but I mean, at one time maybe I was.
for a moment I thought you said I'm not a velociraptor.
I'm not a velociraptor.
What do I know? I'm not a
aren't you?
velociraptor.
Aren't we all?
I think it's in the disassembled comment. I know I keep going back to that but it's fresh on my mind because I just reread it again today. But I think that they say something about like how life eats life. Like to be alive is to take other life. Like, and it's not like a murder thing. It's I walked outside today and stepped on grass. Some of it probably died. Like, but I have to walk.
So whose run was Thor Disassembled?
I can't remember the name.
It's just before the J. Michael Straczynski,
Yeah,
right?
it's Michael Oeming.
He's an artist.
He's an
he may
artist.
also be a writer, but
Can't remember the writer. I remember Oeming, Oeming.
No one in the chat is telling us either.
was on it. I mean, I can look it up. Like,
sorry.
I remember it. It's been a while since I read it. It was a good book, though.
yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I think, if I remember correctly, that came before, and like spoilers, like Ragnarok happens in that book. And
Oh
like,
yeah, and
We
Thor,
keep putting up the cover. It says Ragnarok on
yeah,
it. So
so
it ends.
Yeah, well,
Asgard
Disassembled
ends.
was a big reboot for the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
Disassembled.
speaking of today's big comic news.
Speaking of, yeah, and like, should we address the elephant in the room?
Wait, can we
Yeah,
just
go for it.
let's not explain it, but let's just take a moment while we're all here with all three of us, and we'll get into this probably more next week.
Possibly next week is very likely.
But as soon as we're back, all three on the screen, I just want to declare a moment to panic. Oh my God, Bendis! What is happening? What does it mean?
I don't know.
This is
What is
crazy.
happening? Why are we yelling?
Okay, and we'll get back to it.
Yeah. There's like half the chat is probably going, yep, and the other half going, what was that about?
Yeah, and the half that's saying yep is answering the half that's going, what's going on?
We love
Yeah.
you. You guys are the best.
we love you guys.
We have an
Thanks, too.
amazing audience. Sorry, you guys keep talking while I look up the writer of this.
Excellent. So there was a period of time where a bunch of stories were going on with the different Avengers characters that were all under the theme of Disassembled.
Yeah,
and
taking
one of
them
them was
apart,
this.
getting rid of them. And one of the things that they did was they decided they were just going to remove Thor from the Marvel universe for
Wow,
a few
it
years.
really was Mike Omi.
Oh wow. he did
My
right.
bad. Unless, assuming the Marvel stats
And
are
Thor
correct.
didn't come back for a long time. Thor disassembled, removed Thor, created Ragnarok, removed the Asgardians from the books, and they didn't
this
come back
is-
until the Straczynski run,
And that's 2007.
Which
that was
is-
98.
which was after.
No,
that
it's
can't
the
be
series that numbered in '98. So this one came out in 2004.
2004.
That is still a gap.
It was 3 years.
Still
It was a
3 or 4
3-year
years,
gap. And in that time,
Thank you.
Disassembled happened, and also Civil War, and Captain America died. All these things happened, and then Thor came back
Right.
to Iron Man heading Shield and all sorts of, and no Captain America, and was not a happy camper. And it was a great run.
Yeah.
Which is where the Straczynski run happens, is Thor going like, what did you people do while I was gone?
Yeah.
Yep.
You are awful.
I just picked the pieces together with what happens in Civil War.
Oh yeah, no,
And the
it's,
timeline's all fitting back into place now.
it's all coming back.
Yeah, the mid 2000s Marvel was like really, because like right after that I think was like the Secret Invasion with the Skrulls and everything. Like soon after that, and then you have Siege, and you have
So the
Where
Siege,
they made a Thor clone. I mean,
Clone Thor. Oh my
Thor. There was
God.
a
that
lot
was
of
the
weird
Civil
in
War
there.
piece, but like that. But the Siege you're talking about is when the bad guys get the keys to the kingdom and decide that the biggest external threat to America is an internal threat in Broxton, Oklahoma.
And that is Asgard floating over the plains of Oklahoma, where the Asgardians have taken up residence in Oklahoma. And though they live in Asgard, and they're like, hey, what's up? This is our city floating above your plains. This is cool, right? They're also going down to Broxton, Oklahoma, and
Eating in the diners
burgers
mostly?
and steaks
Oh,
yeah.
and drinking coffee. Like
It
a
is-
lot of like the first Thor movie was kind of, some of that element was pulled from.
I wish they had interacted. Like I wish they had interacted a bit more, because one of the things I loved about this run of Thor was that it felt like Thor and the Asgardians meet Archie. It was a very like.
Yeah.
Well, so, and that's one of the
Very
things I
Riverdale.
loved. After the Michael Straczynski run, J. Michael Straczynski run, there may have been an in-between step, but I remember distinctly Matt Fraction arriving on the title and doing some of my very favorite
Whoa,
writing.
you're right.
When
Yeah.
they're with a lot of them in the diner, a lot
Oh
of
my God, you're
Volstagg
right. I
thinking
totally
about the
forgot
nature of the
about that.
universe and like pie. It was great. It was really fun stuff, and that was around the time that they then ended up handing. So after the events of Siege, we kind of had a different Loki, and
We'll get into that
different
in a
Loki
second.
got his own book written by Kieran Gillen.
Yeah.
Back when everyone was like, "Who is this Kieran Gillen? He's good."
So I really liked the villains. I was trying to find the Thor meets Iron Man for the first time after everything goes really horribly wrong. 'Cause
nice.
It's in here somewhere. But I was a really big fan of I keep missing it. Of Villains United, which was like that was the
what?
big
The Dark Shield? Like.
the Dark Reign.
Dark Reign, yeah.
Dark Reign was a
Villains United
Marvel
is
was a
DC.
Marvel story arc that went for a while. That was just
That was
basically
right
what
after Secret
happens
Invasion.
when the villains take over everything, and I thought it was really interesting. I was like, and again, knowing that it was going to end, it was like just such a wonderfully twisted mirror of everything, and like the evil Dark Avengers were great, and they were terrible.
Yeah.
I really thought it was fun, and one of the things that happened in that was Loki kind of was tried to make a power play where he conspired to turn the heroes against Asgard, but it was all a plan to like make Asgard come out on top and wrestle power away from some truly awful people, and he was like, he had a plan, and
Reasons
it was not,
why Loki was right with Taliesin Jaffe.
Hashtag Loki was right. Loki is often like a lot of the history of Loki as a character is a mustache twirler, where he's just like, I'm evil and I'm going to do evil things. I'm going to kick this puppy. And
You got a Liz laugh.
thank you. That's all I wanted.
Hashtag Liz laugh.
And slowly they got further and further away from it because you can't be a trickster god if everyone knows that you're you can't be.
It's not interesting
Loki.
to just be the bad guy. Like, there's no point in.
No, you're Lucy with a football at that point. It's like it's the death of drama. And so they started giving
Peanuts, the death of drama.
Peanuts, the death of drama. Good grief.
Or I think they perfected Lucy with the football in the form of Loki, essentially.
Yeah.
Because like if Thor in this analogy is Charlie Brown, he will always kick
the
that
football.
Yeah.
But they've managed to write those characters in a way where you're never mad at him for hoping that this time it goes.
Yeah, well, and they've also found a way to hide all the different ways that Loki's going to pull the football.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know that he's pulling the football. He makes it seem like maybe he's just going to strike you out
Except
of bat.
they were
He's like,
running out of
"No,
ways
we're
to say,
football."
trust me, I'm better this time. It was getting dumb. And Loki made a power play for the good of Asgard. It was definitely it was definitely the notion of putting Asgard on top. And thanks to a character called the Sentry, which we will get into at some point.
Oh, man, that's a whole
everything
nother
went
episode.
really wrong. Like Loki went,
Yes.
I did not understand what I was touching. I have broken everything. I have to, and like it was the one like, and Loki went, I have to fix this because I broke everything.
Forgot about
That was Loki going,
That was
I
such a
didn't-
linchpin moment.
It was because it was him going like, I sent the Sentry off to do this thing. I didn't know what I was doing, and I have made a terrible, terrible mistake, and everyone's gonna die. Oh,
And by
God.
the way, that seems to be the full history of Loki. Like,
Yeah.
he'll like, I am so, sorry. Like, it feels like that's oftentimes his pattern.
Loki did a thing. He sacrificed his life and saved Asgard in that story, and then did the coolest thing Loki has ever done, which is Loki then reincarnated. Loki reincarnated as himself because God's as an aspect of himself, as a little like I would say 11-year-old boy. I love this image. I know it's probably not in here. This is Loki arguing with people. I'm gonna hold it there.
Show them the top two. They can't read it, but just tell them what it says. I don't know. I love
Loki,
that page.
It's Loki on his cell phone, on Twitter. It's actually, no, he's on YouTube commenting on a video, and they're like, awesome, what filter is
Lensman
that?
47. Awesome. What filter is that?
And he's like, there's no filter.
Lensman 47. Obvious fake is obvious. Stop lying.
He's like, I'm not. And then it cuts to him, like literally in Asgard, like with this crazy stuff, and on his phone going, why do people always presume I'm lying?
But he looks so heartbroken.
And he's really sad because this is a Loki that has not had any of he didn't have the parenting of Odin to screw him up. And this character is actually like weirdly innocent. There's a whole, and like I don't have the page here, but there's a whole conversation where Thor is very much the, where did you get that phone? Mm-hmm. That's a Stark Tech phone. Where did you get that? Did you steal it? He's like, no, I won it in a game with a bunch of trolls. And he's like, oh, did you cheat? Yes, but that was the sort of game where cheating was part of the rules. And just Thor is just he's just
How to
on
raise a Loki.
his ginger, he's just being so ginger, going like, aha, okay.
Well, it like that is similar to, and this is like just another possible deep cut for our audience. Sorry, but it's similar to what they did with Apocalypse after like the
Kid
whole-
Apocalypse
Evan,
is
yeah.
definitely
Evan. Like it's something very similar where they're like, hey, buddy.
well, and the
How are
great
you feeling today?
If you have a clone or a time-displaced or otherwise version of a person who might grow up to be thing,
and the
what
great
do you do?
and this is a great book to read because the entire book, and Loki gets his own book as Kid Loki, and he spends his time basically.
Don't
Is
look
that the
under
title of
Kid
the book?
Loki. Look under Journey into Mystery.
Journey into Mystery. Thank you. The Journey into Mystery run. It starts with the Fear Itself crossover.
Yeah.
You don't need to know anything.
Just look for Journey into Mystery, Kieran Gillen.
And it's Thor being super protective of his little brother, kind of understanding that this kid is dangerous, but really understanding that he has a chance to start over and doing everything he can to be as supportive of his little baby brother as possible, while the rest of Asgard is, every time Thor turns around, the rest of Asgard turns over and they just beat the kid. And are like, you're scum, you're nothing, you should just fucking die, we're gonna figure out a way to kill you, and the minute your brother goes away, you're dead. You understand me, you're awful, and you should have never been born. And like this, and you're like watching, you're like, you're gonna turn this kid into a supervillain.
Yeah.
Like, and you really start to feel like, oh my God, you're just turning him into Loki again.
Like you've
And
got
I
a
still have to
chance.
finish this one. I've read the beginning of this, but
and
But it's like you've got a chance to make you've got a chance to like
such a
the
good
whole
story.
like takes a village to raise a child thing. It's like, no, you.
But
this is a new chance. This
they've
is a new
been burnt
chance.
too many times.
Yeah.
And he kind of and he as a character is interesting because he understands that his superpower is that everyone thinks that he's lying and that he's evil, and so he like occasionally will lean into it. He's so good at just kind of manipulating the events to work out okay, even though every time he does it, he somehow just makes it worse a month from now. Like it's the power of kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
That is, and it's such a tragedy.
What would it be like to
So
be
they-
Tragic book.
Kieran Gillen and to have that brain?
I know. I don't know how.
So then, of course, Kieran Gillen picks him up and that story up in the pages of a certain Young Avengers.
Of a certain Young Avengers, where you start to get.
Have we done an episode on that where
I've
people
been-
can go watch that?
I've
for
been waiting
reference?
for a special moment. And
We
it-
did,
I
we
don't-
did, but we can do another
but we'll
one.
do it again because we're gonna have where I'll do my whole Loki rant, which is already starting apparently. But
Yeah.
It's
I can't
we
wait.
bring it up partly because one of comic book Loki's greatest hits was that he put the Avengers together in the first place
Yes,
accidentally.
yeah.
Talk about the law of unintended consequences that is Loki's life.
or at least
Right?
with
He sets out to do a thing, and then some other thing happens,
So-
and sometimes that's exactly what he
The
wanted,
first-
and sometimes it is not.
Well, yeah, the evil
The
Loki
first
kept
Avengers
making
movie,
evil Loki keeps making good things happen, and good Loki keeps making bad things happen.
Poor
Yeah,
Loki.
Poor
Yeah,
Loki.
poor Loki.
Poor Loki. So yeah, Avengers 1 happened because Loki was trying to get at Thor. Loki knew that the only Midgardian who could take on Thor would be Hulk. So Loki goes and like tweaks with Hulk, upsets Hulk. Thor goes to fight Hulk, and then
And some random teenagers put out the distress call.
Team Brigade.
The Team
Yeah.
Brigade, Rick
Rick Jones and the Team Brigade put out a random call to Iron Man because he's like, oh no, my friend Hulk, no one understands him, and something's not right with him. It's like some Asgardian presence is in his
Where
head
is
or
Rick
something.
Jones
Why is Rick Jones like foppish in
I
Tennessee?
don't know. That's just my impression of him.
I'm into
Okay,
it. Carry
go
on.
I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just like, this is Rick Jones. Hey, everybody.
Sure.
Singer-songwriter Rick Jones.
Yeah, singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rick
he's like a
Jones.
monkey for me, I
He,
guess. Like,
he is kind of
hello, I'm
he is Davy Jones.
Oh, hello.
Rick Jones is Davy Jones.
Yeah, right. So he's like, Team Brigade, get everyone together. And then like Iron Man and Ant-Man, Wasp gets pulled into it. Thor, Captain America doesn't come in until
Okay, he's still
issue
on ice.
4. He's still on ice. But yeah, they all band together to go fight Hulk. And then they discover,
like,
ooh, actually it's Loki. And then Loki, unintentionally, unintended consequence, puts together the Earth's mightiest heroes.
And Janet Van Dyne is like, Avengers, yes.
Yeah. I'll make your costumes
We're
And
gonna
name
look.
you. I'm just
and
saying.
name you. Yeah.
That's weirdly important to me.
It's not weirdly important, it's hyper important.
Genius. It's brilliant.
Like,
60s Janet Van Dyne is kind of the worst, but she did some important shit.
She did some
really
good stuff.
She named the Avengers. She helped pull the team together, and it's about damn time that we get her in the movie.
So yeah, Loki. I mean, like, there's been a lot of different Lokis, and I like that they now lean into the good intentions Loki, where it's very much like his whole thing is like he constantly betrays Thor, but they're doing it the other direction now, where he's like, this is a perfect chance to throw my brother under the bus. Yes, I'm teaming up with you people, and then like they come in, and he's like, just kidding. I'm with Thor. God, you guys really didn't see that coming? Really?
Like again, like the trouble with this show is that I always feel like I'm spoiling a story, but it's like, but the story was written in 1985, and that's what our show is here to
Yeah,
do. We're here to
it's what
talk
we're
about
here to
it.
do.
One of my favorite things about all right, this is one of the things I
Like
wanted to do
lightning.
at the very, very beginning. In the first few Thor comics, like the first 20, 30, 40 comics, there were so many rules for Thor. There was, he had to slam the Mjolnir,
stick.
the
Mjolnir.
stick, which was actually Mjolnir, to become Thor. He had to slam it down again to become Donald Blake.
He had to hold the hammer
For
six. He couldn't let go
as
of it.
long as he was holding the hammer, he was Thor. But if he let go for 60 seconds, he would revert back to the form of Donald Blake. If he slammed the hammer down twice, he could create rain. And there was another one I'm forgetting, but if he slammed it down 4 times, something else would happen.
Konami code.
Yeah, Konami code. Like he's like, I'm in God mode now, but I'm already in God mode. So
Outfit
double God
changes.
mode.
Yeah.
Start. Yeah.
And there were a couple other things like his, but one of the other things is that Loki's magic did not work when he was wet.
Sure.
So the way that Thor
I forgot about
defeats
that.
Loki, the very first, so By the way, Loki defeats Thor the first time because, you know, like Thor has to...
The thwop of the thwop of the... He has to spin the hammer to fly.
Yeah, that's how he flies. He's basically his own helicopter. He's like Inspector Gadget. Like, so he's flying after Loki. Loki can fly because he's a sorcerer. He's flying after him, and Loki's like...
powers are useless in water. He'll drown unless I rescue him.
So silly.
I attempt to do Chris Hemsworth.
Thor will dive
so
into water to
silly.
save Loki because he's dumb.
Yeah, I
And we
love
love
it
it.
so much. But so
That
here's what
helmet's very
happens.
heavy.
They're above the ocean. Thor's chasing him, and Loki uses he purposely directs Thor in a direction to get the reflection of the sun bouncing off of Mjolnir to hypnotize him.
Yay!
And then Thor...
This is why you don't mess with Loki, man. He knows too much, too much.
He's going to get in your head.
It'll be
dude.
all the way in your head.
Yes.
But then turnabout's fair play.
Look at that.
you got
yeah.
all this in there. This is great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No, I effing love this. I
Being
thought this was
superhuman
great.
like myself, Thor cannot be conquered by my magic alone.
What was...
But there are other ways.
Oh.
I've maneuvered him into a position where the sun's rays reflect off his hammer into his eyes each time the hammer passes in front of him. The blinking reflection plus my power of suggestion will soon have him hypnotized.
And then he puts him to sleep.
So in the Silver Age, they weren't sure you could tell what was happening in the art, so they would literally just tell you in the captions
Everything.
and
Oh,
yeah.
panels.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not sure this will be obvious, so I'm lifting this log with my mind and I'm going to put it over there. Yeah.
I was
God bless
also
the Silver Age.
was it because I really enjoy what was it Stark's nickname or was it Janet's nickname for it was Janet's nickname for Thor, which I thought was really cute. Goldilocks. Was it Goldilocks? It was
I think
Goldilocks.
So.
Sounds
I
about
think
right,
so,
yeah.
Goldilocks. Love it. That hair.
In the movie,
groovy.
it's Stark's nickname for me.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because we don't want to spoil anything in the new nickname. Because there's
No, but that's known in the movies.
yeah,
is it
that's
not?
right. That's right.
Different
That's
nickname.
right.
He's talking about a great joke from the
Yeah,
movie.
from-
It's
I
all
won't
good.
say
later.
it. I won't say it. Though.
Yeah, I know. We're not spoiling the movie because
But
they're all going to go out and see
I thought that was already in the cinematic universe before this movie, but
might have
I
been.
won't spoil it for the movie. You're right.
Some people are asking. Oh, go ahead unless you want to dive
Oh
into
no,
some.
I just love that there were so many rules. Like, and
Yes.
it's so silly. And by the way, there was another when he fought Hulk, the very first time he fought Hulk, so he fought Hulk in Avengers 3 or 4, but that was the first time they actually fought. Fought, like just the two of them head to head. But the first time he fought him in a Thor comic, he couldn't beat him, but they were at a stalemate, and he called out to Odin. He was like, "Father, just give me 5 minutes of strength where I can put down Mjolnir or my Uru hammer," because they didn't name Mjolnir
named
for
it yet,
100 issues or so. And he's like, "You have 5 minutes to beat him with your bare hands."
Yes, Uncle Luke, it might have been.
But in that same issue, he spins his Uru hammer really fast to buy himself some time to pray to his father Odin.
oh, dialogue.
Odin the Allfather, and creates a dimensional pocket where Hulk cannot get to him. And it's not the wind, it's a whole other dimension that he
Of
created.
course.
And he can spin it so fast, he can get it to a subatomic fire in those first few issues.
As you do. Now, the one biggest rule of all, and the one that has basically persisted, is the rule of the hammer.
Which is?
Whomsoever holdeth this hammer, if they be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. Now, you can't hold the hammer unless you're worthy.
Yeah.
The hammer can only be lifted by someone who is
those
worthy.
words, much like the beginning of Star Trek, have been sort of endlessly, people are finding like new ways in, and we've now analyzed every sub part of them.
One of my favorite things was depowering Thor by convincing himself that he wasn't worthy.
Well, that's...
I know, it was like one of my favorite things they've ever done to him is depower him by like letting him know he is showing him that he wasn't worthy to hold
Well,
the
and hammer. that's current run
That's
stuff.
current
That's
run.
Gore the God Butcher,
Yeah.
where Nick
So
Fury
my
basically
favorite
said,
starting point.
Gore was right.
Wow, you just spoiled the end of it, but it's fine.
No, that's that's out there. Like if you're reading Comics Slam.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
out there.
One of my very favorite stories and my favorite modern Thor starting point is the Jason Aaron run. Thor the God,
so
God of
good.
Thunder. He's currently writing Thor. He is has written with a number of different artists. He entered the book on one of its renumberings. Post this Straczynski, post this Matt Fraction. He came in and sort of took over, just wrote the book, Thor, God of Thunder, #1, A New Beginning. He started out with a story that showed you 3 different versions of Thor. The modern Thor, a future Thor, and like a young Thor from the past.
Loved it.
Who is just they're all 3 going to be your favorite characters ever. And he somehow writes them all
and then
distinctly
is that the one
he's
with
a
the daughters?
genius. Yes.
Oh, so good.
This is all Jason Aaron. Like, I am convinced that someday when I'm
have it
talking
here.
about Thor, I will say Walter Simonson and Jason Aaron in the same breath. Like, because this run has been so incredible, going since 2012?
Sure.
That sounds
I
about right.
want to
Yeah.
say. He's
was-
written 60-odd issues as of now, and as of Thor 700, he was noting that he had written 60-odd issues of Thor by that point.
Really?
The numbering is all janky
Wow.
because they were in this weird
yeah.
phase of history where we renumber a lot. So Thor, God of Thunder 1 through 24, and then Thor 1 through 8, and then Secret Wars happened, so he wrote the 5-part Thor's miniseries, and then
Yeah.
after that, they came back with the same goddess Thor we had just had, but they called it the Mighty Thor.
Yeah.
That one went to like issue 23 or 4 or whatever it is now, until they decided to restore the numbers back to some kind of sanity by just jumping to 700.
Yeah, the
and
last
that's where we
6
are.
years of Marvel continuity are a mess.
They're a bit of
The stories are great. The numbers are confusing.
Yeah.
The Jason Aaron Thor can be run read front to back, and it will be incredible.
Yes.
It's just going to take some figuring out to know how it all connects. Because in the
bit
meantime, he wrote a
convoluted, but
5-part
the
miniseries
story's
called
great.
The Unworthy Thor,
Yeah.
which is what you were just talking
Yeah.
about. And that wrapped up like last spring, I want
That
to
was
say.
only 5 issues?
Unworthy Thor?
Yeah.
That
I didn't know that was a
5
limited
issues.
series.
Like the one with that title was, but his story,
Oh,
Odinson's story, has run
awesome.
through this entire thing.
Yeah.
Like so, the character on my shirt, also known as Thor. I don't know if we're talking about her identity. It's an open secret now. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
no, you know what? It's in the cartoon. It's in the cartoon. We can like talk about it.
If it's in the cartoon.
In the video game, you can download the character on Marvel. It's Marvel Puzzle.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jason Aaron run, like 25 issues into it, for reasons that are not immediately apparent, Thor can no longer lift his hammer. But somebody else can. And the series begins with a mystery as to who this is, why they can hold the hammer. He, of course, immediately suspects, like, who's this imposter who's got my hammer? DEFCON 5,
Yeah.
or whatever bad DEFCON is. Which one's worse?
I think
DEFCON bad.
DEFCON bad.
Done.
So,
solved it.
tries to track her down and figure out what's going on, and she's like, I'm just trying to deal with some problems that are right in front of me.
You go away, boy. Yeah.
Yes.
and
go.
It's
Go.
it's super delightful, and spoilers, it's pretty much out there now.
A few people have lifted the hammer, and a few people have pulled. Yeah, and this is the most recent person to take the hammer away from Odin's son,
Current wielder of the hammer, current worthy Thor, Jane Foster.
Jane Foster.
Yeah. And I feel like they've brought in a couple of other hammers because the whole Secret War thing happened, and you had the whole like Secret War Thor's run, which was 5 or 6 issues. Just Jason Aaron, right? He wrote that too, right? And that was
That was an alternate universe where there's an entire police force of Thors, and it was amazing.
it was really amazing, and it was every single Thor, that like including Frog Thor was in it, right? Like it was
Frog Thor.
all
Oh,
of the
Frog Thor.
Wait, before we do that, we do need to ask for our 5-minute topic because we've got
5-minute topic.
5-minute topic.
We got to do it.
Can
It's gonna be fun.
Anything you want us to talk about, as long as it's somewhat related to this episode in some capacity.
And we have our spectacular.
That's right. We should
Yeah.
shout
Ken Wynn
out.
Thor.
Huge
back here.
thanks to Ken Wynn for this beautiful, beautiful Thor.
In that classic Adventures in Babysitting helmet.
That looks like
Look it up.
the,
Google it. Google it. You will not be. You will not
That
be
looks like the
upset.
Straczynski run Thor.
It looks like
to me.
Straczynski run Thor. It's got like the good armory kind of
Yeah,
vibe.
the koi pull and that chin.
And where they figured out to make this little 3D circles as opposed to just the curvy circles.
Yeah.
Thor's costumes are amazing. Everyone is amazing.
Yeah,
They're all
people are
great.
asking what's our favorite costume and what's our favorite alternative Thor.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, and if any of us would be worthy to hold the hammer.
No.
No.
No offense to any of us, but
No, not gonna happen.
I do. Before we get anywhere else, I do want to say, look, like I'm so loungy. I'm like, hey.
I know I've been doing it too.
Everybody.
We're just hanging out today.
Yeah, we're just hanging out in our shop. God, I feel like this microphone is like not
I think
cooperating.
it's pointing down. Well, now
Are you
got
taking
it.
a volume journey with Matt Key, audience? Is that
Yeah,
what's happening now?
Sorry.
Our producer's
Sorry,
like, what are
Liz.
you doing?
I'm fired.
We're
It's
lounging
okay.
too
I'll
hard.
leave. I want to I brought it up at the very, very beginning, but I want to jump into it real quick because they showed the picture earlier. Jack Kirby and how he created Thor 2 other times before
Yes.
Stan Lee.
Yes.
My God, this is just such a deep dive. It's so much fun.
So, a lot of people pointed to 1957's Tales of the Unexpected, number 16, where a cowboy in the Old West discovers a random hammer, and he picks it up. And he soon discovers that when he throws the hammer,
Oh my God.
it comes back to him. And he can use the hammer to create rain and thunder. It shoots lightning and creates storms. It gives him strength. And he becomes a rainmaker in a drought-stricken Old West.
Have they written this into canon as like a thing that Thor did once? Because if not, they should.
They probably should, but like this is
Some
Thor.
genius is going to come around
It's
and create
just
somebody
a
who held the
cowboy.
hammer while it was waiting.
Yeah.
How did the hammer
Yeah.
end up in that cave?
Yeah.
Did Rainmaker leave it in the
Old
cave
West.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Well,
with Marty McFly?
Tales of the Unexpected was DC.
Oh,
What?
shoot.
What? What?
Uh-huh.
No.
I had forgotten that.
Oh.
Yeah, so 1957, Kirby's writing for DC,
No.
creates and writes this little bitty story in Tales of the. This is when like they had like 5 or 6 stories in each
Yeah, you
comic.
remember a
you
lot
know.
of these are just anthologies, throwing stuff at
Yeah.
the wall. Both companies are doing it. It's 1957, so they've just had Flash show up, but the rest of the Silver Age isn't arriving for a couple years, and they're still just trying anything they can think of.
Including putting hammers.
Making me love you.
just to drop hammers in the Old West. See
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah, sure.
With
So
Max Mercury.
He is not Thor, and he doesn't know that this is Thor's hammer. He's just like, I found this incredible artifact, and I'm going to drought-stricken towns, and I'm making rain, but I'm only gonna make rain because I can get bank, bitches.
And he makes money.
And then
Worthy. Just
there,
real
I,
worthy.
Not
I
worthy.
do believe. Look for an image that's titled "Tales of the Unexpected." Thor, whatever. Like I'm sure we've already seen the images, but pull them
I
back
hope
up
the
here.
full title is Tales of the Unexpected, Thor, whatever. I'm sure we've already seen this, but
It's
just pull it up here.
100% not. That would
Dot
be
JPEG.
way too much to
Dot-
do.
dot-
Sorry,
dot org.
thank you. TD
Porter,
is working
right?
with us today.
Is it Porter tonight?
Porter.
Hi.
Thank you, Porter.
We're
Thank you,
gonna
Porter.
cheat
I was
tonight,
never.
so
I was never
round of
told it was
applause
Porter.
for Porter.
Yay!
Porter!
Thank you for being here.
We would
You are
be
killing it.
There's a
making eye
blind there.
contact
I
with you,
can't see
except
who
they
it
put a
is. They have a-
barricade between us.
We're really
Sound
upset about
blind.
our barricade, guys.
Yeah,
We're
I'm
not
not a
convinced the crew's even here. We think they just set up this monitor to mess with us.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm talking
no
to the great
idea.
and powerful Oz every time we do this now. It's just not.
Right.
Pay no attention to the engineer behind the cart.
It's Tales of the Unexpected, or it might be Kirby Thor or something like that. Like it's the cowboy.
So,
but he
yeah.
Not the one we
meets-
just saw?
We did just you saw that, but Thor appears to him to reclaim his hammer.
Who?
Wow.
I think that might be it. It's either that one or the next one I was going to talk about. But
Wow, look at that.
Because I have never actually read
I
these.
come from a land you know
yeah,
not.
here you go.
I rule there with thunder and lightning.
That definitely is. That definitely
So,
is. Because it's like
I'm going
Old
to
West.
mention this. This just occurred to me. I've seen this Thor costume before.
Ho, 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 you
Yeah?
will pay for your evil ways.
This Thor costume has appeared in one other place, which was when Thor guest starred on the Incredible Hulk television series.
Oh my God, you're right.
It's that Thor
Oh my God,
costume.
you're right.
I'm just dropping that here. Oh my God, we have found the continuity connection. He's the Thor of the Marvel
the
70s
DC.
TV universe.
The DC prototype Thor is the Thor of the Marvel TV Incredible Hulk universe.
Yes.
Change the Wikipedia accordingly. Do not do that thing unless we verify
Please
this,
don't do
but-
that. But
Yeah,
like,
don't do that.
my mind was blown when I'm like, I remember that Thor because he was fighting the silliest Hulk ever. It was great.
Oh my goodness.
He was fighting David Banner.
You're right.
Why
oh
was
my
he called
God.
David Banner?
They thought Bruce Banner
Because they
didn't
thought
sound
Bruce
right.
was a little limp-wristed. I kid you
People
not.
are weird.
Thank God we got over it.
people are
Well,
real
thank God we're
weird.
getting over that shit. Oh, yeah.
People
Well,
are
it's a dumb reason
weird.
that also doesn't make any sense.
No, I remember.
favorite
I
part
remember
about
my mom's boyfriend at the time knew Lou. He was a bodybuilder and knew Lou Ferrigno when I was a little kid, and took me out to meet him once at like a pizza parlor. Thank you, Armand, wherever you are. You're a good guy. One of my favorites that my mom dated. But definitely, I asked Lou Ferrigno about that, and he explained it to me, and like I do remember going like, "That's stupid," even as an age. He's like, so.
Well,
Holy cow!
let me take us back even further
Oh
than
no.
1957.
There's more?
Oh, no.
There's more?
Uh-huh. Adventure Comics
Definitely DC this time.
I've got it pulled up here.
Yeah,
Adventure Comics,
pull that out.
Volume 1, number 75, cover art by Jack Kirby and Joe Simon. They also both co-worked on this. Sandman, the villain from Valhalla.
My.
What? Oh my God! And that's the Sandman pre.
This is
Neo.
gosh darn Golden Age.
Golden Age
Yeah.
Sandman.
They fought Thor.
This is.
Simon and Kirby, by the way, are the pair that created Captain America.
Wow.
But they did all kinds of stuff, including over here at DC Comics in the future home of the Superboy and Legion of Superheroes. Supergirl, I think, had run an adventure for a while.
Well, that's the Sandman superhero. That was the post gas mask. Mm-hmm. Sandman.
Right
that was
afterwards,
the weird.
yeah.
That was
Late
not
40s?
Wesley.
When is this?
This is 42.
For early
This is-
40s.
yeah, this was not the Wesley Dodds Sandman. This was
This
the other
is-
Sandman.
1942.
This is right as the superhero boom in comics is starting to kind
Holy
of fade
cow.
out, and all the other big like
How
Western
long
and
was Kirby waiting to get to do Thor comics?
Apparently not long, because he did a Thor comic in 1942, but then he did another one in 1957, and it wasn't until 1962, 63
Oh my God! There's so much here.
that he does Thor with Marvel, and you got to ask yourself, did Stan Lee have that idea, or did he see these and then go to Kirby and be like, so Jack, I got an idea.
I think Kirby drew a thing and Stan was like, "What's that?" He's like, "Thor." And we're like, "We're rolling with it." I get the feeling that
Print. It's a gold picture.
I have a feeling.
So I have a quote here from Stan Lee, somewhat maybe referencing all of this. We can pick stuff out, but he says, "How do you make someone stronger than the strongest person?" Talking about the Hulk. It finally came to me, don't make him human, make him a god. I decided readers were already pretty familiar with the Greek and Roman gods. Might be fun to delve into the old Norse legends. Besides, I pictured Norse gods looking like Vikings of old, with the flowing beards, horned helmets, and battle clubs. Journey into Mystery needed a shot in the arm, so I picked Thor to headline the book.
So,
After writing an outline depicting...
combination of that and the many things we are suggesting may also have occurred resulted in this friggin'
I can imagine definitely more Kirby doing a thing and Stan going, "Lose the beard and superhero that shit up and we're in." I can
So
imagine that being a far
he
more.
took it a little, after writing an outline depicting the story and the characters I had in mind, I asked my brother Larry to write the script because I didn't have time, and it was only natural for me to assign the penciling to Jack Kirby.
How long ago was this written?
That quote?
Yeah.
That's 2002.
Okay, that makes much more sense. All right.
after you've already been telling the story for 40 years and you're very used to sort of like
Yeah,
outlining.
I mean, I understand how things become canon.
Now, so do we assume that Journey into Mystery probably worked Marvel style, and have we recently reminded people of what Marvel style writing meant?
We probably haven't. I would assume that Journey into Mystery was even more Marvel style than anything else because Larry Lieber was writing it.
So
Yeah.
a quick refresher on Marvel style writing. You pitch a story idea, the artist draws the comic, and then you fill in the dialogue as you go.
Essentially, with
More or
some,
less.
There are lots of cute anecdotes about sort of like telling the story, and then they fight here, and then maybe this happens, and blah, and like there are cute stories of Stan like jumping on the desk to illustrate that stuff. But there are other times where it seems as if it was like a couple sentence outline.
Yeah.
They go here, they have a fight, they make up, then this supernatural thing
Slurpees.
happens. Slurpees.
So essentially, what there's a reason behind it though. I know that Stan Lee was like not a rose, but I do think he like meant well, and he maybe just liked the spotlight a little bit more than most. So he
I think
probably
there's
took a
something
lot
very
of ideas.
natural also in the fact that because he was the editor and the front face of the company
Yeah.
for so long, when Stan says we did this, for a long time he was just literally speaking on behalf of the entire company.
Yeah.
And it
Yes.
probably felt like second nature to say we came up with this, we did this, here's what we wanted.
Yeah.
Because they in the meantime they were creating the entire Marvel universe.
Oh yeah, I'm going to have some I'll definitely have some gentleness for carnival barkers. I've known a few in my life, and I definitely know how these things, especially if you're really good at pitching, and he was a good
He's
good
a
pitch
great
man.
pitch man.
One
He's
of the
the one
best
who
who's
got
ever
stuff
lived.
into TV.
It's
He's
it's
like,
sometimes
saved Marvel,
really
like-
easy to slip into credit that is not necessarily due, just because you're so much better at being eloquent about what's being created.
And they
Yeah.
also
Give him some.
like
some
I'll argue with myself about Stan Lee all day long because without a doubt he is overcredited for certain things, but also without a doubt he has accomplished things no other human on the face of the planet has ever done.
Absolutely.
And no one was in these rooms with these creative relationships
Yeah.
to ever say exactly how much came from whom. We just know that the magical alchemy, like we know the Beatles were the Beatles, and you can fight until the rest of the time about who exactly contributed which lyric or which balance of tones. You'll never settle those arguments, but you know they had to all be there in that room to make it happen.
Yeah, and it was the same with Lee, Ditko, Kirby.
Yeah, and on a certain level, he is the dad from the Royal Tenenbaums, but I think we still sort of like give him that push of if comics would not be comics without him. So I think
Absolutely not.
Attempting to fight that fight is almost is ridiculous at this point.
Yeah.
And in some ways, if you have very talented artist storytellers, you don't need to say, and then he hits him with his left arm, and then the thing falls down, because they, like many of them will enjoy being like, no, just say they fight and let me figure it out because that's fun for me.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own different balance. So there are advantages to this, and like if they change something, you might end up tweaking the dialogue anyway, so you might as well let them draw it out and then build in the like, oh, they kind of have this look on their face, I'll give them that quirk. So now that I've argued out your point 100 years.
So like, but what's going on there is like Stan Lee, I think in the early 40s, takes over editor-in-chief from Timely and is essentially the
He's a
only
kid in the
writer.
40s, so like I don't know when is he proper? Like he comes
starts
into the
it
office in the 40s. He's a kid, but also working. He's like 17, 18.
And I know he was in World War II for a bit. Like he helped do art and writing for journals and like wartime journals and stuff like that. But he came back from the war, and Timely was basically decimated because of the war. And all they had was Captain America comics. Those kind of start falling out around like 45, 46, like 47 maybe. And he's the only person there writing and editing. You know, Kirby is off elsewhere doing his thing. Like he's got a team of writers, whatever. Like all of that. He's essentially the only writer though. Larry Lieber, his brother, will come in and ghostwrite for him from time to time, but he's essentially the only writer. So because of all of the editorial demands on top of the writing demands, he creates this writing style where he essentially says, you're the artist, you're an amazing artist, here's the basic plot breakdown.
Go to town.
Have a blast.
Ritsu, Ben, and Johnny go to space, but something weird happens. They're bombarded with cosmic rays, and when they come back to Earth, they're all transformed. Draw it.
Draw it. Yeah, he can stretch, she's invisible, he turns on fire, and he's a rock thing that's like really morose.
So to crawl us a little bit closer back.
Yeah, I guess we should talk about
we
Thor.
got like so a few people have lifted the hammer.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's talk about a few of the other people who are not Odinson, and a couple of your favorites, the people who have been worthy enough. Captain America has lifted the hammer, but not gained the power of Thor.
He doesn't usually sort of proper wield it.
No, he's picked it up and kind of given it a good throw.
Yeah, I remember him like picking it up and just like
He got a good swing. He did not enjoy it, but he managed.
Gets a good swing in.
Storm of the X-Men.
Woo!
This one, I do not remember it at all.
Okay. There is a not quite crossover. It's not really considered a crossover because it was before we really had that down, between a loosey-goosey crossover in the this is not the right year, but like at some point between
Late 80s.
Alpha Flight,
Mid-80s?
the X-Men, and yeah, I just took a. It feels like 80s, 90s, 80s. This has got to be.
I mean,
80s.
that's
It's got to be
Chris
mid-80s.
Claremont, so-
yeah.
That's like early mid 80s. Yeah.
New Mutants, X-Men, and Alpha Flight.
Look who's still around.
I know. Oh, bless Dougie. Oh, Dougie.
I was being discreet, but yes.
Oh, yeah.
Doug Ramsey.
Doug Ramsey. And the X-Men go to Asgard for this. It's called the Asgardian Wars.
So you've heard us reference the 16-year stretch where Chris Claremont was writing the X-Men and just basically
All
redefining
the
everything
X-Men.
of all of comics. And he had a ton of adventures with them in the meantime, one of which, not long after he had introduced this, the first team of kid X-Men called the New Mutants, they all took a little trip.
They all took a little trip, and apparently Asgard was pretty cool for, this was 95. 95,
Really?
no,
What?
an X-Men
Is
annual
this-
1970. Okay, it was the 1970. Oh, no, it doesn't seem right, does it?
They're
New
telling you
Mutants
the
didn't come out
time
until
that
later.
their numbering starts from.
Oh, yeah,
but
that's
if
not quite
this
right.
really happened in 95, I'm very
No, this doesn't look
confused.
like
Yeah, that's
95.
not
It's too.
85. That's more 80.
So
like early 80s.
So the X-Men go to the X-Men go to Asgard. They have a great time. Rogue finds out that her powers don't work on Asgardians and just basically spends like half the issues making out. What would you do? What would you do?
What would Storm do?
Storm ends up
WWSD.
hanging out with Loki and kind of gets into a thing, and then Loki suggests that she perhaps should become a real thunder goddess. And so she picks up the hammer of Thor and gets thunder goddess powers and becomes a problem. And
First, she gets this makeover.
she gets this very intense Asgardian makeover, and I love that her transformation sound as she becomes Thor is waboom, bada boom. It is waboom, bada boom. Yeah, there it is.
And
in
we should
giant.
mention that like Thor's like whenever he uses Mjolnir, his onomatopoeia is KRAKOOM, correct?
KRAKOOM.
KRAKOOM.
She kicks Wolverine's butt as Wolverine, and then Hela shows up, and she's got all sorts of things to say. Mirage becomes a Valkyrie.
Mirage, aka Danielle Moonstar, one of my very favorite.
One of the best New
What it
Mutants.
showed off.
One of my
Truly.
favorites, Danielle
Truly.
Moonstar.
She is one of the.
Oh, you went back to Storm.
I did because
Yeah, we're
she's
going
got
together.
the close-up set up. now.
Yeah, there we are.
So here's Storm in
Oh, yeah,
Goddess of Thunder form.
Rogue has so many Rogue just kisses people for this. This is all the
Yeah.
book of like Rogue, Rogue.
This is like the teenage angst.
Yeah, she's just like, oh God, tongue kissing, and it's
Danielle
just gone.
Moonstar, honorary Valkyrie of Hela, which is, not complicated at all, but also one of my favorite characters of all time.
I love the Valkyries are such a great group of.
We
group of
haven't
characters.
even talked about the
We haven't
Valkyrie.
even talked about the Valkyries. They're amazing. I love them. They're great. Yeah, and Storm gets powers, and she eventually turns on Loki. This is also a great. This was like really great, like high school drama X-Men, because this was also when Cyclops and Rachel were first put together. So it's a lot of, I can't let him know that I'm his daughter from a future. And Cyclops going, who is this strange woman who vaguely reminds me of people I used to date? And like, there's just,
Also,
Scott,
I love
Jean,
the way
Madeline,
people talk
Rachel.
to each other because Loki goes, by a hammer I helped forge, my patience is at an end, and with it your pathetic lives. And Kitty says, says you, weasel face.
love it.
Kitty pride.
So Asgardian.
Kitty Pride, smart mouth of Asgard.
Sass mouth.
Sass mouth about Asgard. Yes.
Sass
Thor,
mouth, Shadow
Odin's
Cat.
son, is a jerk. It's just waiting for it. There's also there's some other interesting people who have held the hammer. Beta Ray Bill, which we briefly talked about, who is an alien.
And that's what makes him worthy of getting his own hammer.
Yeah. What happened? I just reread it,
I haven't read this in years, so I'm excited
and
to
it
hear you
holds up
retell it.
great. And it's on sale on Comixology right now.
And this is Walt Simonson.
So Walt Simonson run is Beta Ray Bill shows up, and he's convinced that these pink fleshy things are demons, and he's like trying to defeat demon, and that Thor's a demon. And Thor tries to beat him, and Beta Ray Bill wipes the floor with him. And Thor transforms back into his human guise and of Donald Blake. And Beta Ray Bill's like, oh, this is mine now, cool, and takes Thor's hammer and
like it's nothing.
There's like-
he's got it, and then Odin shows up and is like, Thor, we need you, and hits the teleport button, and Beta Ray Bill goes to Asgard.
And everyone's like, wait, what just happened?
Who are you? What's happening?
Why does Thor have a horse face?
Yeah, and
I have the wrong Thor. What
And
do I
he's
mean
like-
the wrong Thor? Why did I just say that? It's very much like that.
Wait, you got the frog
Beta
Thor?
Ray, Bill is walking around going like, I've gone and like I'm in the demon's homeworld, and now I can fight all the demons, and I've got the hammer, and And then he's like, and like Thor shows up, and they kind of figure out the mix-up. He's like, okay, I get it. You're not demons, you're people, and okay, and this is the Thor, then the hammer. And they're like, okay, so I can have my hammer back now. He's like, no.
No.
I
'Cause
I
Bill has
won
a
this.
mission, yeah.
I wrested it from you.
Finders keepers, motherfucker.
And
It's-
Thor kind of can't argue because it's like the hammer's letting you hold it.
Yeah, and Odin's like,
so-
So Odin says, I'll tell you what, you two like will have a fair fight because you did turn back into Donald Blake, and that wasn't cool. So Thor versus Beta Ray Bill, no hammer, you guys fight, and whoever kills the other gets the hammer.
Wait, kills?
Yes, it's a fight to the death.
Asgard is terrible.
Because Odin is a bad father. Odin is a bad father.
He's not
Family
Anthony
time.
Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins is a nice.
And suddenly an Asgardian with one arm shows up and goes, and that's why you don't fight space alien. Yeah, no, it's Odin's son is a bloom. Arrested Asgardian development.
Love you.
But Yeah, and they fight to the death, and Beta Ray Bill defeats him, but won't kill him. He's like, this dude's cool. I can't. I mean, like, and it's almost like they're like almost, and he's like, I couldn't kill the guy. That
Yeah,
was weird.
I can't kill him. And he's
And-
your kid.
and
you're
Odin-
a terrible dad.
Odin's like, you're cool. We're gonna make you your own hammer, cause you're cool. And they make him his own hammer. Called Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker, yeah.
Stormbreaker, and now there's another guy with the power. Like Odin gives him some of the Odin Force and creates Beta Ray Bill, Space Thor.
And I feel like somewhere in that story, at one point, Mjolnir goes missing, or Loki makes it disappear, or like it becomes enchanted,
A
and
lot
Thor
happens
can't
in
use
there,
it.
and Loki's
and,
part of it.
And Beta Ray Bill is like, bro, I got you. Borrow my hammer.
Yeah.
Like Thor has wielded Stormbreakers like several times as well. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, like it's come up in like Beta Ray Bill is very much like your dude bro from high school who just shows up at the right moment, going, "I've had a bad day. What you need, dude?
What
I'm
you
gonna
need,
get you a
dude?"
massage. I'm gonna clean the kitchen. You take a bath. I'm on it."
yeah,
Yeah, he is so.
I called
he's college bro.
I called my friend, massage therapist. They're on their
They're
way
on their
over.
way, taken care of.
You want some tea? You
need-
want some In-N-Out? You want a burger? I got you.
I'm gonna make you.
Here's
a
the thing
frittata.
where I hope one of you can
Make you a
jump.
frittata.
Alien frittata.
Alien
Here's the thing where I
frittata.
hope one of you can jump in, because I don't honestly know the deal with this, but it's the early 90s. Who or what is Thunderstrike?
Oh no!
I wanted to ask you guys the same question.
We
I
all
don't-
hoped
it's-
someone else would
it's-
research
It's
Thunderstrike?
Eric Magnuson, right?
Masterson?
Is it Masterson?
Masterson, I think.
Masterson. All I know
I
is
didn't
that
delve.
he is in every single time I've read Infinity Gauntlet, and he's there. He always has this weird thing about him where he's
It's-
like, I wonder if this is when they find out I'm actually not Thor, or something like that. And I'm always like, who is this guy?
It's like a lot. Yeah, Eric Matheson was a weird. I didn't delve back into it because I just didn't have the time. But like, it was that same like Captain America Nomad weird where they're like, we're just gonna mix things up.
In
The
40 years of
early
comics,
90s was a
sometimes you
strange
just
time.
try things.
Sometimes you just try things and we ignore that.
And he was on the West Coast Avengers, if I
He was
remember
West Coast. He
correctly.
was Thunderstrike, if I recall. Was
He
his
became
code name.
Thunderstrike, but he was Thor.
Yeah.
But then he became Thunderstrike.
He was Thor the way War
because-
Machine was Iron Man for a while, where we're like,
Yeah.
we're not really gonna like. For a while, he was like holding down the fort, and then it was like, okay, no, this is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, but can we get to the best one?
I was gonna say, can you ribbit? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my God.
Frog
I'm
Thor.
so glad you didn't say Clore, because I hate Clone Thor. I think Clone Thor
I
is
think
the
Clone
worst.
Thor was a great.
He had a name. What was his name?
We were calling
Clone
it Clore.
Thor.
Clore.
Clore.
Yeah,
I
but
think
there
he
was-
did actually have a name. But
I
His
thought
name
it was.
was
I thought it was
Ragnarok or
an
some dumb thing like
interesting.
that.
you're right.
His
It
name
is
was Ragnarok.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say it was
Wow.
dumb in case you loved it.
No, I mean like. I thought it was a good story arc. I'm glad they never went any further with him. Like, oh, we're gonna do one dumb thing and get it out of the way.
You know how Tony Stark makes a lot of mistakes?
Yeah, he's kind of like the lawful good version of Loki,
Yeah. Well, Tony. I mean,
right?
In that, like, Loki can do more good trying to do bad things than like,
Marvel's
Then Tony
characters all
Stark
have
yeah.
fatal flaws, and once they sobered Tony up, he became the guy who was all about the right intentions and was really good at having good intentions and doing bad things because of
Yeah.
them. And also was convinced he was the smartest person in the room at all the time. And like
Oh,
that
he
is
doesn't have
his
an ego on him.
That
That's
is his
yeah.
worst fault, is that he's convinced he's the smartest person in the room,
no matter
what.
what. No matter what.
Oh,
And that's awful.
I have to throw in a random plug for a story arc here, which is that the storyline Fear itself is not super well remembered. I enjoyed a lot of it,
Oh my
but
God,
people
I know
were sort
exactly. Yeah.
they were sort of burning out on big story. Like there was this period of time that we talked about that started with Avengers Disassembled in what we will be calling the Bendis era in future
It's going.
generations, I think.
Welcome to it.
yeah.
Sort of had like big event after big event after big event, and sort of at a certain point, like Siege, we were all still into it, but like
But there was
people
a
were
moment
getting
at Fear
tired.
itself.
But Fear itself, like a lot of these big stories, give rise to these really amazing moments, and there is a moment that I won't get into too much, but if you look up the Iron Man portion of Fear itself, I believe
Just
written
the
by
Iron
Fraction
Man-
at that
I
time.
think it must have, because it
His
was
book during
so
that
intense.
time-
Just the book, the
yeah,
Iron,
the
Iron Man
Invincible
Fear
Iron
itself
Man comics
tie-in.
that happened during Fear itself.
Okay.
Tony Stark
spectacular.
takes a journey and needs to ask essentially Odin for a favor.
And it is.
And the character moment that comes out
stuck
of
with
that.
me. That
this.
stuck with. That was one of the two
I love
things
that
in
you
that
knew
story
exactly where I was
that where I
going.
was like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen." No, it broke me. Like I cried at that. That was the most horrible thing.
It was a really good use of like, if these are all the elements you have, how do you combine them in a way that I don't see coming that will apparently stick with me for years?
Oh yeah, no, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking
You've got
about.
to tell me after this.
We will.
We will.
Go off the air.
But I'm only mentioning it's part of like another interesting use of the Asgardian characters in setting. And sort of elements of like, what are the consequences of these being mythological beings?
And him hanging out with the dwarves and everything is so.
Good.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh, there was a reason I brought that up.
What you were talking Frog Thor?
Frog Thor.
And then
this
I
has
ruined
nothing
it
to
with
do
Clone
with that.
Thor.
I don't know. Oh,
Well-
Clone Thor. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we were talking about, but Tony was the smartest man in the world.
Does anyone
and,
load a picture of Throg?
Do we have it?
Yeah, I've got-
right
yeah.
there. Look at that.
Yes.
At
So.
least the cover of it, yeah.
So there's a couple of different, like, this guy's also had some journeys, but the basic thing is that a human ran afoul of a curse, got turned into a frog. That frog ended up living in Central Park, New York, mediating or like some wars with the frogs and the rats. And then there was like a tiny sliver of Mjolnir. I'm telling it very badly.
You're on it.
But Frog Thor, whosoever is worthy shall possess the power
Doesn't say it.
of Thor.
Doesn't say it has to be a human.
Nope.
Frogs
He
can
is
be
known
worthy.
affectionately as Throg. He appears
Thor Frog.
in Lockjaw and the Pet Adventures.
Boy, that's an action figure that I would love to own. Is a Frog Thor. How have they not
my
made a Frog
God,
Thor
that
action
would be
figure?
great.
And
You know what?
I may be spoiling a little bit, but if you haven't read Thor 700, you should.
Oh yeah.
Man, you're mentioning so many books I need to read.
And Jill Thompson illustrated those pages, and it's amazing. Thor 700 is a big jam comic. There's a bunch of different characters. There's a Thor versus Hulk fight, but it's not the Thor you're thinking of, and it's not the Hulk you're thinking of. But it's the centerpiece of the issue, and it's beautiful. It's Daniel Acuna on that one. Russell Dodderman is in it. It opens with a page of Walt Simonson. It's a beautiful, like, referendum on the history of Thor in one comic. They will tell you whatever you need to know. You will know who the bad guys are. And it will, like, it's a lovely, lovely.
And I'll also say, like, one of the things that I love about the Thor books is the complexity of the pantheon that they've built, because they had this base structure of the Asgardian myths, and that they've just built and built and built and built on top of it. One of the interesting things, and somebody in the Alpha Chat brought this up and would like to mention this, and something I will say I was sad to not see in the movies, although I understand why, is Thor's sister. Who exists solely through an act of legal
That's a whole other episode.
fuckery.
We should have a dedicated her episode.
Yeah, we should do an Angela episode.
Oh, that okay. I was like, wait, is there another one that I don't
Angela,
remember?
Thor and Loki's
Yeah.
sister,
Yeah.
who technically speaking was created in an Image comic book
Literally
called
Spawn.
Spawn. She was created as a side character in Spawn, and through a series of weird legal developments was, I believe, given to Marvel out of spite.
That is
Or-
how we in the Peanut Gallery understand it.
If not spite, at least as like, not, you know what I'll say? Because it wasn't spite. It was a colossal and elegant and dexterous piece of shade. It was just and scene. It was the perfect ending to a very convoluted and difficult, like, real world story where someone was like, I can give this a storybook ending, and did it, and sent this character Angela into the Marvel universe in
That
a
person was
brilliant
Neil
way.
Gaiman,
That
for
person
the
was
record.
Yeah. I was like, I
And
think I know what
the
they're
Angela
referencing,
book.
and
The
it's Neil
Angela book
Gaiman,
was
right?
really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it's too complicated to go into right now,
Sure.
but like.
But we can do an entire episode.
Angela is a long-lost sister of Thor and Loki, who was stolen by
She is now.
She
They've
wa-
given
is
her.
now
They worked her into the Marvel
in the
mythos
Marvel
in
universe.
the following way.
And she was an Asgardian who was kidnapped by the angels, by the seraphic angels, or their dimension before they were walled off by the Asgardians during a war.
And it turns out that there are 10 realms of Asgard, not
Yes.
just 9, right?
And so she comes back, and she's fascinating, and they do a lot of good stuff with her that I really enjoy, and you should pick that up because that book is fun, and I like her whole sense of like, her whole thing is universal
I have
balance.
just started it, so I've read through the 10th realm stuff where they do the original Revelations, and I've seen some of her other appearances, but I need to dive into the solo books.
Yeah, her whole thing is very much I have to be paid. Like, everything you do, you can do nothing without cost.
So their
Everything
version of
has a cost.
angels are these weird, like, hyper mercenary, but like weirdly sort of, that's their version of justice, is like, well, there's an appropriate cost to things. You pay the cost, and that's what it means to be fair.
It's that whole saying like a Lannister pays their debts. Like it's, I owe you. Here is this thing.
Down to the point
Now
of
we're even, and I
even
owe
like
you no
she
more.
saves people and they go thank you. It's like, no, this is what you owe me now.
Yeah.
Is you have to do these following things, and I will feel that what I have done was worthwhile.
Yeah.
And it's very, including like a little kid that she saves, and he's like, you're going to have to live a good and wholesome life, and you're going to have to spend your life doing good. Like, I'm going to come back and check in on you, and this life better have been worth something, or else we're going to have words. Like, literally, and you're like, like, how Tyler Durden is that?
Yeah, but it's angels. Like,
Yeah, war
an entire
angels.
race of women who do that. Like, it's
Yeah,
like
they're great.
warrior women saviors who do that. I think it's great. I love that twist on that.
And
that
most
myth.
of that was developed, I think, in her solo books, which started out co-written by Kieran Gillen and Marguerite Bennett.
Yes.
And Marguerite Bennett solo wrote the rest of them, I believe.
It's really man, it's kind of intense.
And then like, you've got Angela who's got her own book. Who else? So you've got Sif took
Sif
over.
had her own book for Journey into Mystery.
She took over Journey into Mystery once Loki left that book.
Yeah.
And then Loki, of course, had Journey into Mystery for a while.
The
which
Warriors
was
3 have had their
fantastic.
own titles on a few different occasions, usually
Yeah.
as a miniseries. They are delightful.
They are.
Well,
I highly
and
recommend them.
Didn't Volstagg the it's not the voluptuous, the what's the other
Well,
word?
Volstagg-
The enormous.
Yeah.
Volstagg the enormous. Is
He's a
when-
great
when-
read. He's a great
Yeah.
character.
Didn't he become Thor for a time?
He's
Like,
got some stuff going on.
right?
stuff.
I
It's all
haven't
quite
read it
recent,
yet.
yeah.
I haven't read it yet, but
He's a great character. He's always been a fun read as an
Hammer's
Asgardian.
not always a good
love
thing.
the Warriors 3. I love those characters so much.
And
They're
then
so fun.
I was trying to pick out my favorite Valkyrie stories because the members of the Valkyrie have been in the Defenders.
Mm-hmm.
So Valkyrie, the Valkyrie are a bunch of people, but there's a character known as Valkyrie who's been a big player in the Marvel Universe for
and
a
her
really
real
long
name
time.
is
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Brunhilde.
There
Is
we
it
go.
Brunhilde?
I feel like they retconned her story a bunch of times.
They probably
She's been
did.
kicked around a
She
bit.
like lost her memory and was married,
Yep.
and like poor Valkyrie's seen
She
some
was
shit.
she ran around with Doctor Strange and the Defenders for a while.
So there was a team initially.
middle 70s.
What's great is like they're super classic now, but there's a team that sort of like at the time could never get no respect. There was all of these like some other characters, like our friend Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer,
Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, Hulk, Namor,
Oh man.
and Valkyrie. But
Eventually,
the original
Hellcat
four
ran around with
yep,
those for a long,
Hellcat,
for
right,
a
right.
long time. Had a good bond with Valkyrie, but like this was the. I was commenting the other day that like I think I joked about this going ahead, but it wasn't until partway through my second watch of Thor Ragnarok that it sort of hit me like a bolt of lightning that I was like, this is a Defenders movie. I did not fully appreciate that this is Valkyrie and Thor and a little Doctor Strange and a couple of people they can't have because of rights issues. This is a Defenders movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Valkyrie and Hulk, you got it right there. They were Defenders. He calls it Revengers, which is
Yeah, which
funny.
is their
But they
Red
can't use
Jack.
the name Defenders because they put those on the new Avengers system.
That's not a spoiler. That's in the trailers.
Yeah, it's in the trailers.
I love how protective you are of people's experience of the movie.
I'm
I love it.
trying.
I
I'm
sincerely love it.
I love it also, but you know, I had my Marvel show. I'm very practiced at not giving those
I know they're
spoilers.
so pure. Our audience is so pure. I want to keep our audience just sweet and unspoiled.
We love our audience.
We have Taliesin on tape saying he doesn't want to destroy your minds. It's weird.
No,
Super weird,
I can-
because that's not what he says off the
I can
air.
gain more power from their blood if it is unspoiled, so it is good. There you go. I was also saying Valkyrie was briefly in. Did I ruin you?
There's also a book you
that's
need
so
to read
funny.
that is super random, but I love, called Fearless Defenders.
Yeah, I was gonna
Fearless
plug that
Defenders.
too.
It
yeah,
only
that's-
ran like 2 volumes. It was just a couple years ago, and it is just a pure shenanigans team-up book, mostly about Valkyrie and Misty Knight.
Yeah.
And a bunch of the coolest women in the Marvel Universe. Not because they're women, just because they were like, here's all the best characters. They're going to fight vampires and stuff.
It's cool.
And was Colleen Wing also a part of that?
I believe she shows
I
up.
think- yeah, I
Danny
think-
Moonstar
yeah.
shows up. Everybody shows up. It's
Moonstar's
great.
in that?
Danny's a Valkyrie, man. Danny got to show
I
up.
didn't. Oh.
Speaking of people
Fearless
who are going to
Defenders,
be
it
in
was
their
fun.
own movie that I'm so excited about.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I know. Tingles.
We should. I really think it would be fun to do a not spoiler, but just like all of our thoughts episode on just like.
I'd actually
the
happily
movies.
do a New Mutants. Well, we might do a movie episode. We were talking about doing a TV party, and I also might do
Yeah.
a New Mutants episode before the movie comes out. Just
I
talking about New
I
Mutants.
will
Yeah.
not be able to contain it, yes.
Yeah, I know. It's
gonna
gonna happen.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite Valkyrie stories actually is a team book that she's on. This is The Secret Avengers.
Ah.
I'm going to give a little shout out to Secret Avengers, which was a weird little book
that kind of ran below the radar. It's been in a couple different hands, but originally it was in Warren Ellis's hands. And the idea being it was a covert Avengers team that took care of like problems on the down low. There, it was like the guys who just got in, got out, and when you didn't want people to know superheroes were involved. And it was War Machine, Black Widow, Moon Knight. It changed up a little bit. Beast.
Shang-Chi was up in there for a little.
Shang-Chi was up in there for a little bit. He was amazing. The bad Ant-Man.
Oh, not Scott. Oh,
Not Scott, the
What?
bad Ant-Man.
Oh.
The irredeemable Ant-Man.
yeah, written by Skybound guy.
Yeah, but this was him when
Yeah.
he was like Captain America, and it was run by Captain America when he wasn't Captain, and it was his like, I need soldiers. So he got because the irredeemable Ant-Man. There was a bad Ant-Man who was kind of
and he's
scummy.
still kind of running around.
He's a villain more or less now, and Valkyrie was on this
I
team.
remember Valkyrie.
And-
being
Oh,
on
and
this
Beast,
team.
as you said.
And
yeah.
Beast. It's an amazing. I know. I've just got the page open. And like one of the stories, like there's a story where she and Black Widow go undercover in like a Russian brothel, which I know sounds weird. But they're both like, how long are we keeping this up before we just kill everybody in here? Because this is ridiculous.
I definitely forgot that happened.
I
but
did
that
read
happened.
that.
And then there's one where
It's
they
really funny.
forgot
they
about
fight
that.
a techno-organic Mack truck. like a big rig, like Optimus Prime style truck.
Techno-organic is a Marvel word, which is basically
Half
just what it
meat,
sounds like.
half machine. Like they have to defeat this truck before it gets to where it's going because it's like dangerous and kill. And like they have to stop a living evil big rig truck. It's so good.
So
They
Ellis,
tried a
too.
lot of really cool things in Secret Avengers. It's very creative. There's a fight on a space station.
Oh
There's,
God,
like,
the anti-gravity fight on the with anti-gravity
David
martial arts.
Aja, I think, right?
So good.
Before the Hawkeye book, I was like, well, who is this guy?
And then later, Secret Avengers shifted gears, and like when Hawkeye took over, it got a little weird, and that was when they got like what was her name, the head of Shield for a while,
Maria Hill?
Maria Hill, and like had the weird love thing with MODOK.
Forgot about that.
Which you say out loud, and you're like, that can't be.
Yeah,
except
that
it
was
was
a
great.
MODOK,
That was
weird
like
guy, big head.
a
mental
second
organism
volume.
designed only
Yeah,
for
that
killing.
was second run of.
Yeah, George Tarleton, I believe.
If you're
was
going
his
into the
name.
MODOK era, I would start with the Warren Ellis just because the Warren Ellis is very much like you have been reading Avengers. Like it reads like the Emma Peel Avengers.
Yes.
Except with superhero Avengers. It's great.
with like the Avengers, yeah.
yeah, it's good stuff. They fight.
So,
AIM, they do
Frog.
great stuff.
Did we answer the question about fun versions of Thor? Wonder Woman lifted the hammer once. Let's throw that out.
Wonder
Oh, that's
Woman
right.
did
The
in the
amalgam.
Amalgam
Was that wasn't amalgam? Though,
It was
'cause
in the
amalgam
Marvel versus DC fight.
That's right. That
It's
was
one
what
of the
it was,
first
yeah.
comics I ever read.
Oh.
I don't think I knew what that all meant at the time, but like
That's
it
crazy.
was, yeah.
She would be able to, wouldn't she?
I mean, of course she would.
Yeah,
Of course she would.
Why wouldn't she be able
She's
to?
very much
She
in the
might
Captain
even be
America
more
camp
worthy
there.
than Thor, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
But she's so worthy she would give the hammer back.
So, in doing my research for this, I came across the Mangog comic by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. It's Thor 154, and Thor talks down to hippies. I've got it. I know I've got it pulled.
Oh,
It's amazing because this is at a
not cool,
time-
Daddy-O.
This is like
Look how
and
beautiful that is, though.
and this is Kirby at his best. Is the Mangog stuff? I forgot to include an
anytime
image.
Kirby writes hippies is my favorite time. Like Kirby has the best hippie speak of any.
I do here.
Oh,
like this
God,
is.
it's so good.
Look at this. This is later in that. comic. This is.
Oh my God.
This is Mangog.
Oh.
I don't know where to put
Oh,
this.
I love that.
I am trying to decide what to say and what my policy is going to be, but boy, if you are not reading recent Thor comics, you should.
Yeah.
Okay, just going to leave that out there and
no.
That's gotta
continue. Who's
right.
Mangog?
Oh man, I don't
man.
even know how to answer that. He's like this weird alien from space who like is stronger than every Asgardian ever, and Odin found a way to put him in a vault, and not.
Odin has just an infinite supply of old enemies that are going to break out of
Yeah,
something and come
yeah,
for you. Like,
and,
just so many.
And Ulik the troll. I'm not saying Ulik.
Ulik? I don't know.
Ulik, U-L-I-K, King of Trolls, breaks him out of his prison. Like knows the legend of Mangog, breaks him out of his prison. He's like, "We will rule the earth together." And Mangog's like, "Fuck off! I'm gonna kill you first." And he's like, no, you're not. No. He's like, you're right. You might be useful. I'm going to kill you later, but I'm still going to kill you because that's what I do. You're an idiot.
I'm God. That's what I do.
Why did you break me out?
Yeah,
What were
why
you
did you
thinking?
break me out? Here we go. Stab, stab, stab. Where's Asgard as you bleed? So that's Mangog. But I wanted to read you this quote that Thor has. So he approaches the hippies wondering if they can help him find his brother Loki or something like that, like Loki's gone invisible. And he approaches them and they're like, yo, daddy, yo, look at this guy's a square. Like they're all like making fun of him. And they're like, yeah, we dropped out of college. We don't need no, like, you're a conformist, man. And I think this is amazing because this is at a time when Spider-Man is swinging above those same kids going, yeah, guys, I agree with you. Every other Marvel character is like, yay, hippies. And then here comes
and
Thor.
then long-haired Thor.
Long-haired Thor comes up and says, "'Tis not by dropping out, but by plunging into the maelstrom of life itself, that thou shalt find thy wisdom. There be causes to espouse, there be battles to be won, there be glory and grandeur all about thee, if thou wilt but see. Aye, there be time now for thee to disavow thy heritage, yea, thou mayest drop out fore'er. Once Hela herself hath come for thee. But so long as life endures, thou must live it to the full, else thou be unworthy of the title man.
Boy.
Verily, they have eyes but seeth not. When life doth seem too much to bear, 'tis not the time to renounce the struggle. The ostrich hides, the jackal flees, but man and God do persevere."
Boy, that's an inspirational poster I need.
Right?
Yeah. Like a little
I would
picture of a
actually-
mountain.
Yeah.
Persevere.
I mean, but look at his face. Like, I would take that dude seriously.
Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah.
I
great.
would actually love to do like a comprehensive survey on attitudes towards youth in Lee and Kirby, because I feel like that's a Stan Lee sort of wanting to shake the people around him thing.
Yeah.
But Jack Kirby famously and on the record admired the energy of the young progressives.
Oh yeah, and so did Lee. Like
Yeah,
Lee and Kirby.
they- I mean,
Ditko
like-
was the square who didn't.
If you pop over to Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, and you read that book, that's literally Jimmy Olsen and a bunch of space hippies telling Superman he's too square to hang. Like, not kidding.
No, I know.
Even a little is literally Superman shows up and they're like, "You're just a man, and the man ain't invited here. We've got real stuff to deal with. You go handle your weird problems. We're saving the universe, pal." Like, literally, they're basically at Burning Man telling Superman, "No ticket, you can't play, man. I'm so sorry."
I'm so sorry, man. I'm so
Did
sorry.
you see the meme that was going around? I think Funny or Die or something put it out. It was like a picture of Jeff Goldblum in glasses from Jurassic
Oh,
Park. And it
yes.
was like Jeff Goldblum with glasses from Jurassic Park goes to Burning Man literally once. Jeff Goldblum in Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok.
As the
God.
Grandmaster.
What a great Grandmaster as well.
And not untrue.
no, that's,
That made me laugh because I was like,
we're all going
not
to be having the
legit.
silver lip
Yep.
next year.
Yep.
I think we're all going to
I'll
have
have
the
the silver lip and the gold.
I love that that's a thing
weird
now.
gold thing, yeah.
I may have to get that outfit. I'm like genuinely thinking about
I
getting that.
kind of really want it.
Diana's been prodding me.
Yeah,
She's like, I want to make it. I'll make it for you.
Oh, we should both get one made, and then we can walk around Burning Man together and just go up to people and be like, like.
Oh, you can be the collector and I can be the.
Oh,
Yeah.
ooh, ooh, maybe.
Maybe. I'll do a group cosplay with you.
But Mercer plays the collector in the Lego Marvel games.
I don't care. He doesn't get the outfit. He's too.
He has too much already.
He has enough.
nothing is more collector than you refusing to have somebody else
Yes.
have dibs on the costume.
Just eyeliner and lip chrome.
He who is worthy shall wield the
shall-
costume of the collector.
It's my birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, no, not going there. Anyway, there's another version of Thor, of course, which we should mention since you did bring up the hippies, which is Ultimate Thor.
Ultimate Thor.
Okay, tell me about Ultimate Thor, because you guys know I don't do Ultimates.
So the ultimate take on Thor was really interesting. The ultimate for
those of you who don't know.
For those of you who don't know, I was trying not to say it, but why
Say
do I
it.
bother?
Just say it. How do you want to do this? Come
Rebooted
on.
universe. It was a rebooted universe where they tried to like start Marvel Year One from like somewhere in like the early 2000s. And they tried to do a more grim, gritty look. Like if you ever were going to do a Marvel DC like Injustice crossover, it would be like Injustice DC versus Marvel Ultimate would really be how I would do
Yeah.
that. That would be kind of fun.
Agreed.
And that's the tone that came to predominate, although it's not
Yeah.
true for every Ultimate book,
No,
because
it's not.
Ultimate Spider-Man, the most successful of all of them, sort
But
of.
the Ultimate books definitely took the grimdark direction
Several
and
of
made
them,
it
yeah.
work. And made it work. Not always, but mostly. And their Thor was literally a guy in Norway who was hanging out with basically Greenpeace terrorists, more or less. They were basically
Like, they were eco-terrorists,
They were
essentially,
eco-terrorists.
yeah.
They were guys who were just like fucking up tuna boats and messing up loggers who were trying to deforest areas. And he was claiming to be Thor, God of Thunder, and everyone else was going, no, really. What? And there was very much the, where did you get that piece of tech? That is your hammer. And they just assumed he was a crazy person because he would talk about all this and it would never come up. He's just like, no, I'm Thor, God of Thunder, come down to save you all. I've been returned to Earth to save the human race from itself. I am a god.
Well, and what complicated his integrity there, or the veracity of his claim, was the fact that Mjolnir was electronic. It was
electronic.
tech. It was like a computer digital.
It got weird. Like, and they're like, all right.
Like, I remember reading it and going, so,
They thought-
because
well, this
I'm not
is
going to
where-
like this if he's not.
This is where it got weird. Of course, he didn't want to join the Avengers because he was like, no, you're a government agency and I'm here to destroy you. And then eventually Captain America kind of brought him on because he was Captain. And what was the great line? It was like, was him taking out alien spaceships. And it was like, I thought you were a pacifist. And he's like, I am a pacifist with a really big hammer.
I think you're, oh my
Yeah,
God.
I remember it.
Wow.
And he eventually
Was
like,
that Mark Millar? Or
yeah, that
Millar
was
who
Mark
writing
Millar,
that?
like
Yeah.
walking the line between the best of Mark and the worst of Mark in a way that it was like Mark writing the sort of stories that I don't normally like out of him, but in a way that I really enjoyed, which was weirding me out on a level that I can't even begin.
Yeah, because Clone Thor, because he wrote Civil War, and Civil War is great.
Yeah, Mark's super hit and miss. Usually I'm
You know,
very
like-
polarized on Mark, and like
Yeah.
Ultimates was like weirdly in the middle for me, where I'm
Yeah.
like, I love this, but it's weird. I'm into it.
Like for me, like my experience with Mark, Alan
Learning a lot
Kisler
about
always says that it's pronounced Miller, but
I think
always-
it's Miller.
It's probably Miller.
I'm
Mark
finally
Miller.
it's got the
learning
A in
this.
there.
I feel bad.
So
I like
weird.
people
Miller,
mispronounce my name all the time.
So, but Mark Miller,
Mark appropriate pronunciation.
Mark appropriate pronunciation of M-I-L-L-A-R.
He's a Scottish comic book writer with a long track record now. He's mostly doing indies, but he made his bones at the big companies,
Yeah.
including a ton of work at Marvel as the writer of Civil War, before he went off and did books like Kick-Ass.
And Nemesis.
Now has, which we will talk about in future, a whole partnership with Netflix, and it's been taking comics.
Yeah,
in very
people are
interesting
asking about
directions.
that. I don't know enough about it to talk about it yet. But
Interestingly, also in real life, kind of has been like heavily investing in his hometown in Scotland,
Yeah.
and just basically like a stand-up dude.
He's an
Yeah.
interesting cat, and
Yeah.
I'm constantly like he writes things I either love or hate, and it's always fascinating that I.
There's always one thing I'll be like, this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome, this is dumb.
Yeah, they're like I definitely am always.
Like, in
except
Clone Thor
Ultimate.
was
But
that.
he's the guy who did the Ultimate Universe's version of the Avengers, which is
The Ultimates.
widely credited as the sort of modernization that got people kind of on board with them, that they drew a lot of costume and other inspirations from, including the Nick Fury we have today,
Yeah.
came
Samuel L.
out of
Jackson,
that
yeah.
run.
And playing this Thor of like people like obviously thinking this guy is just a crazy person, and then like at one point he like banishes a basically nuclear bomb to the like one of the 9 realms, and they panic because they're like, what did you really do with it? And he's like, I sent it down into like the caves of the dwarven. I'm like, no, where did you put the bomb? This is a problem.
No, for real, it's
For
in
real,
a whole other
you
realm.
can't
Like,
be crazy right now. We need you to actually.
I'm not being crazy. It's in Niflheim.
And he's like,
it's cool.
And he's literally like, you people are
I'm
awful.
not sure I would be able to deal with a person promising me with a straight face that it was in Niflheim.
No, and like,
Do
and
not
there's like
worry.
whole sections where he's talking to Loki, and like Loki's invisible and can't be heard, so it's just him going, Loki.
Oh,
why don't-" and
oh
they're
my
like,
God, I forgot
"Oh,
about
no.
that.
Oh,
Oh
does
no,
he
he's
pull a
crazy.
Baltar 6 with Loki?
And they're like, he's crazy, and we have to take him down because he's just imagining talking to Loki now, and he's.
But he's actually talking to Loki.
Is
or
he?
is he? Yeah.
Yeah, no, you just don't know, and it's just and they're just convinced that he's a lunatic.
Is this the same Thor whose hammer has recently made its way?
Yes.
Okay, to what was formerly known as the Sixth.
And so, was it really electronic, or was it Loki making everyone think it was electronic because Loki was
I
capable of
always
bending
took
reality?
it as it was actually electronic.
I always took it was Loki making people think that.
Really?
That you opened it up and it was, but it was like what is it called when it's like widget from Excalibur, where you have a machine where you open it up and the parts don't do anything.
It's
got a name.
It does.
I know, it's killing me. It's a great
Oh,
word.
shoot.
Chat.
Chat, help.
Help.
Chat.
Chat.
I'd like to use a lifeline.
it's
Can I ask
called
the
a-
chat?
I'd like to ask. Yeah, it's killing me. But yeah, it's a real word for a machine that shouldn't actually work,
Yeah.
but does.
Wow, that's amazing.
Like when they opened up Widget in Excalibur, and he's like basically filled with trash and beans.
Pseudepigrapha?
Pseudepigrapha sound
Pseudepigrapha,
is
motherfucker. I'm going to be paying for that for the rest of my life. God damn it.
a good word.
I love pseudepigrapha, but no, it's not it. I know everybody is.
Come on, chat.
So by the
I
way, we
believe in
have
you.
10 minutes left.
We do.
and
Do we
we
have a
still need to
topic?
do our 5-minute topic.
Oh man.
Did we get one?
So
We did probably. I haven't looked down.
MC Jaffe over there. What do we got?
Wow.
I hear Liz giggling, so I can only imagine.
Damn
this.
it, Liz! Really?
Okay, your suggestions for what the word might be are amazing. Junk, MacGuffin,
Fob.
black box, which is just an interesting
No,
suggestion.
there is actually
Dummy.
a word.
There's a word for this.
I know that there
or
is. I
phrase
not
or
even
something.
It's a
close to
really
my
pretty,
tongue.
beautiful word that
It's like
haven't
a
heard in years.
blank engine or something like
Yeah, it's got a phrase.
that.
Wow.
Red herring, iPhone.
iMac.
Oh my gosh.
You guys are amazing. You guys are funnier than like.
guys are
Oh
great.
my God. I'm just gonna. This whole show is now us staring at chat.
Yeah.
Stupid machine.
Yep. Deus Ex Machina.
All right, what's the topic?
I will look it up. Stanima. Oh
Is
my
it a
God.
Potemkin? That's not the word I'm thinking of, but
I will.
that looks
I will
Did
find
you
it.
say
I have it.
Patinkin?
I have it-
Potemkin, like not Patinkin, but
I have it written down at home. I will find it in my notes because I'm aware of what book it exists in.
box full of sand and beans. I'm sorry, I'm just
Oh yeah,
gonna
we'll
keep-
do an Excalibur episode. So our question every week here on the Wednesday Club, we take a topic decided by the audience and spend 5 minutes exploring whatever strange idea you decide to put in our heads. So this week we are going to be spending our 5 minutes on the topic of what item in your possession would only be able to be held by the most worthy.
Oh, what?
Don't get weird. By what
what a great
qualifications would
question.
worthiness be considered? What powers would they gain?
Oh, who did
So
that?
it basically finish this sentence. Whosoever holds this blank,
Blank.
if they be worthy,
Worthy.
meaning what, shall possess the power of blank.
Who did that come from?
Yes, who's this question from? This is great.
Iggy Boa 1. I'm going to attempt that. I'm sure I'm just like. Yeah, Iggy Boa. I'm Tox Machinaing. I had to do all these weird words today, and now my mouth is all.
Oh man.
So we're going to do our 5 minutes. Let's put
can
the
you give
counter
me
up.
about 20 minutes to think about
I know.
this?
Well, I'm going to go first because that's how these things
Item
go.
in our possession.
Oh
Someone need to be
God.
worthy to wield.
Ooh.
What would make them worthy?
timer on? The timer's
what
on.
powers would they gain?
I have a. Oh God. Let me think. Oh God. This is so difficult to do.
I know.
Well, I'm going to start with the very
start, please.
real-world example that is the functional set of superheroes that operate with us every single day.
Mm-hmm.
There are, in fact, certain individuals who, if they be worthy, shall possess the banhammer. They are called mods. They are
yeah,
endowed
they're amazing.
with both
Oh.
powers and responsibilities,
Mm-hmm.
and we would be completely doomed without them. They are very much like a police force full of Thors, and we appreciate everything you do, mods. But it's not a physical item.
I would say I would have my old high school, my first high school trench coat. I had a magical high school trench coat that was filled with pockets, filled with things that were useful for various strange circumstances. Everything from key rings, can openers. I think I had a speaker system with a CD player put in at one point. I had watched Parker Lewis Can't Lose and had gotten really obsessed with the notion of having a trench coat that did everything like a TARDIS. I was even starting to look into putting a life raft in it, which never happened. But if you deem worthy for having the trench coat, then you have all the pockets.
What are the qualifications of worthiness?
The qualifications of worthiness are having 2 of anything that somebody needs in your trunk at any time, including anything from black cloaks or a grave digging kit.
You are that person.
Yeah, I did actually. I did have briefly a grave digging kit.
Like you're. that doesn't. The best thing about Taliesin is that I'm never surprised when I should be surprised.
I was like, no, I've got that. Like, I can't speak to exactly the situation because it's inappropriate. But do you remember, like, not more than a month ago, I was like, I've got that in my trunk.
I know.
Let me go get one.
I know.
I'm going to assume
you are
it
a
wasn't
human.
grave digging.
It was
Just
not.
gonna
It was
put
not.
that out there.
But
You are a human bag of holding.
Yeah, no, the phrase is, let me go get my kit, and then you walk away, and then you have the power.
Amazing. KRAKOOM.
Okay.
Mackie.
This is going to be the most cop-out answer, but it's like legitimately something that to me, like it has to be something that means a lot to you.
Sure.
And I have a lot of things that like mean a lot to me, but the thing that means the most to me,
Final Fantasy knives.
no,
Okay,
is
just
my
joking.
ring.
I called it.
my
I
wedding
called
ring.
it.
And I hate that is
Beautiful
my
white
like,
Brittany.
by the way,
first shout out of the
Probably
day.
in the chat right now,
lo-
turning red.
I love my wife, and I love being married. I think being a husband is one of the most wonderful things that's ever happened to me, and having a wife like Brittany, like that I can be open with and communicate with and share with and like all these things that are hard to do with so many other people, especially with someone with exceptional social anxiety like I do, is so easy with her. So like for me, it's just like this ring like is something that I want in my entire life. Now I have it and it's wonderful.
The
And
power you wield is the gift of your true companionship?
I guess
Oh
like
my God.
it's like I don't think that soulmates exist, but that you make your soulmate. Like you find that person and you're like, you are my soulmate. I've decided that you are my soulmate because we work in some way, you know,
This
like
is some spectacular relationship advice, man. I'm
you know,
like,
so
kind of blown away.
and that is Brittany to me, and like I hope that if she's watching, I hope I'm that to you. I think I am, but maybe I'm not. But I feel that I am. So yeah, I would say whosoever whosoever is worthy to pick up this ring would have the power of. I think it would be like a healing, like a paladin kind of thing. Like you could heal anybody. Like that would be the power of this particular relic. Would be like you can heal any wound.
This is I can't even be snarky and ironic against this. You've just created this wall of sincerity that I'm just like,
You're so mad about
I
it.
am. There's nothing I can do about this.
You defeated Loki.
Yeah, no, I'm just like sitting here. I feel like I'm just being assaulted by a Care Bear stare. God.
What are the worthiness? What makes one worthy?
The one thing that I value in every single friendship above everything else is sincere vulnerability.
Oh,
So if a person were to come to me and say, hey,
I love you, man.
I need to talk to you about something really deep and it's really embarrassing, but I need to talk to you about it, then they would have the power to wield the ring that heals all wounds.
That they could find in their coat. Bringing it back around.
I don't have a real answer, and we've only got 15 seconds left, so
I didn't mean to.
Perhaps the true
that
power
was
is
the best answer
the
of all
friends we made
time.
along the way.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you, Matt, for breaking us and just.
It's about time. I got broken like
It's
weeks
the pull
ago.
list. It's the pull list I made at the shop.
You just dropped it.
It's a database. That's it.
It's frightening.
Well, I'll fill in the rest of the answer later.
It's your private wiki, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the pull list database I made for the store.
The Wednesday
you
show,
your comics.
and with that, the Wednesday show airs on Geek and Sundry Twitch.
called the
and on
Wednesday
Alpha.
Club.
The Wednesday Club.
We
on
don't-
Geek and-
you broke him. You broke him.
Allison. I broke. I didn't mean to.
Healing
7 to 9 on
magic.
Wednesday Pacific
Healing
time.
magic.
Thank you for watching.
Taliesin Jaffe, Matt Key, Amy Dallen,
Dallen.
God.
Wednesday Club. We promise fewer failings sometimes.
We love you.
Yeah.
I get a hug.
Yeah.
I got a Dave hug.
From the internet. This is from the internet. I did this for you, chat. There you go.
Yeah, Dave hug.
And I think we actually did, out of our joking about what we forgot to mention to chat, we legitimately forgot to mention that we had announced a guest for this weekend who unfortunately had to change plans.
Right.
But
Lamar.
we will, at a future point, be joined by Phil Lamar, who is a delightful human.
There's a lot of things happening in the world of voiceover actors today, and Phil is on the front
with
lines
Screen
of that.
Actors
Bless
Guild,
him.
yeah.
Speaking of superheroes.
Speaking of superheroes, he's being a superhero right now, and is.
And by the way, if you ever have the chance to meet Phil Lamar at anything, meet him. He is.
For those of you who are considering maybe skipping meeting Phil Lamar.
I'm just saying, like, if it's like $100 to go meet Phil Lamar, I don't know if I can afford that. Spend the $100.
He's
Like,
really
Phil
rad.
Lamar or like the new episode of The Good Place. You know, The Good Place will still be on Hulu. Go see Phil Lamar.
yeah. If
It's
that's
like,
your choice.
is it bigger than a
it.
bread box? Is it better than Phil Lamar?
Yeah.
It's not. It's not better than
The
Phil
answer
Lamar.
typically is not.
Philmar's
Yeah.
beat me on at Injustice. It was great. I love it.
Yeah,
It's
Phil
fabulous.
Lamar is a fantastic human being. And he's got a Kickstarter that's now transitioning to an Indiegogo for a
We'll,
cartoon.
Stay tuned,
we'll hit
yeah.
it when we got
yeah,
it.
but when he's on, so look, maybe go look for that. But he's going to come on and talk.
And
to us a
depending
little
on
bit
how
about
things
that.
go next week, we haven't decided quite where it's going to be, but it's possible that we're either going to talk about.
You don't have to tell them what we're maybe going to do.
No, we're going to do something, but like big news did happen in the comic book world, and we should like talk
We freaked
about
out about it earlier,
Yeah.
and we promised to give you more information than that.
Yeah, we have to finish like absorbing what it means to us because it's like right now all we're going to do is scream.
What does it mean? Bendis Apocalypse!
It is a Bendis double rainbow. It's just like, what does it mean? I don't know.
You are full of one-liners today.
I don't know.
So we are, in fact, the Wednesday Club.
We are not the Wednesday show. We are the Wednesday
The
Club.
Wednesday Club. Wow, did I say Wednesday show?
You said the Wednesday show.
Man, I need a
You're
nap.
Taliesin, you're Matt, I'm Amy. Stay tuned for Ask Your Black Geek Friend.
Coming up soon at 10. Is it at 10?
Really?
Really? 9:30.
Remember? I don't even know what time we end.
Coming up at
Fair enough,
9:30.
fair enough.
Thank you guys.
I'm
I know we
full-time
gave
here
you
now.
way too much to read, but thank you guys for everything, and please continue to read your books and
Tweet
enjoy.
weird words for machines that don't work at us.
And remember, it's almost Thors'day.
Yeah. Well, it is Thursday in
Some places.
I ruined your tag. Bye.
Man.
Happy Thursday!
Happy
Look at my
Thursday.
tag. Party? Party? What is this party?
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's from the 1942 one.
Oh man.
Good.